What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Dogon SS and JV Wins. We are back with another video on the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. Major shouts out to the Conscious Approach community and everybody who keeps supporting our little channel here on YouTube by subscribing to the channel, hitting that like button, and leaving those comments. We certainly appreciate you as we continue to kick out this logical content. Before we get into tonight's video, did want to preface, as always, by saying we are now available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. So in those places, if that's where you get like your audio fix, your podcast, check us out, stream us there. We certainly appreciate the algorithm. Excuse me, the algorithm plays in that regard. Just want to be any and everywhere when at all possible. So if you're driving in the car, if you're at the gym, if you're at work, or otherwise in a situation in which you can't check us out on YouTube, but you can stream us, listen to us audio style, check us out in those places because we are now rocking and rolling there as well. Also, if this is your first time checking us out, definitely be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you can get the notification whenever new content is published. And if you are a follower of what we do here with our content and you either like or dislike what we do, leave a comment and let us know why. We certainly appreciate the support, and we do engage so long as the feedback is not trolling. So if you are being constructive, it doesn't matter whether you like or hate us, so long as it is constructive, we appreciate it nonetheless. But if it's stuff that doesn't make sense or you're just trolling but otherwise not really being constructive, we'll probably just ignore it. So food for thought to anybody out there who is a troll who just likes to leave comments for the heck of it. We probably won't even acknowledge the existence of it. So now, with that out of the way, man, we are going to go ahead and get right into it. First thing that we are going to discuss are comments made by Yasiin Bey, formerly known as Mos Def, rapper going back to the old school days with Talib Kweli and Black Thought. No, not Black Thought. What were they called?
Black Star.
Black Star. There you go. Black Thought's the rapper from the Roots. My bad. Black Star. Yeah. So Yasiin Bey, basically has been removed from really entertainment in general. He was big with music first, and then he was big with movies. Then he moved to Africa and decided that he was done with it all. And then something weird happened with his citizenship, and so he was just permanently in South Africa. But now I guess he's gotten a lot of that cleared away. He's been making more and more public appearances, doing fashion week things over in Europe and other weird stuff. But now he's trying to get back into music. And he announced last December that he is going to be getting back into music, doing something with, I believe, the Alchemists, which is supposed to drop sometime this year. I don't know specifically when this year, but sometime in 2025. So Mos Def Yasiin Bey, however you know him, is getting back into music. So shouts out to that because I was a fan of him as an artist with his music, either with Black Star or as a solo artist. So, but that's not what we're talking about Yasiin today, not necessarily about his personal catalog, but because he made interesting comments talking about the exploitation of the music industry. And more specifically, he talked about how you start off in the music industry very hopeful and idealistic, but over time, because of the exploitative nature of it, you become disillusioned and just eventually stop caring. And he feels some type of way about the extractive way that the music industry takes from its artists who work so hard to create what they create, but don't seem to get nearly enough of a return on their creation. And he thinks that it's shameful and he finds it to be very exploitative. So just to provide some context before we get into it, this says Yasiin Bey puts exploitative streaming services on blast. The music industry has been on the receiving end of plenty of criticism, and recently Yasiin Bey joined the conversation. The performer recently spoke with The Guardian, opening up about the disillusionment he experienced early in his career. According to him, this stripped away his excitement to make music. I was so disillusioned, he recalled. You start out with idealism and passion, and then you encounter the kind of conduct and values George Orwell called inanites. And they do this shit to everybody. It's not even personal, it's systemic. Bey continued going after streaming services, in particular, for what he sees as the gross and exploitative treatment of artists. That shit is gross. Paying people part of a penny for their music, he said. Those MFers are cold blooded, man, like Scrooge McDuck, licking his lips as he jumps into a pool of gold coins. The music industry of now makes the one I started out in seem charitable. It's completely exploitative. While Bey has his fair share of issues with the music industry, he admits that he's grateful to have the opportunity to keep making music. I'm just happy to be alive, to be able to create art and beauty, to be the best of my to the best of my ability, he explained. Like to be a human being is a miracle. We're on this spaceship planet Earth sharing this experience and it's crazy. Like who needs peyote? We're already in outer space, baby. Bay's remarks come after he announced his upcoming album with The Alchemist in December. The project is dubbed Forensics and is expected to drop sometime this year, though an official release date has yet to be announced. They previewed it with a live world premiere at La Le Trianon. La Trianon. That sounds like some highfalutin thing in Europe.
Mm-hmm,
La
mm-hmm.
Trianon in Paris in January. So there's Yasiin Bey, Mos Def, unmuting to the Guardian, talking about how exploitative the music industry is. What do you think of what he had to say?
I agree with him. I agree with him. I believe it is 100% exploitative. I never used that word, but I feel him on that. And side note, man, Most Def or Mr. Bay and Alchemist, that should be quite interesting. So I'm not gonna hold my breath. They say December. That's gonna be a 2026 project, I'm sure. But be that as it may, man, I'd definitely be interested to hear how that goes. I like that. And but yeah, man, the industry goes as the industry goes. From its inception, it was created to exploit. Um, as far back as you can go, man. The industry was stealing people's music. Somebody come out with a song, but they don't have the machine behind them. The industry would literally take that song verbatim, have their artists do their rendition of it, and get all the royalties and all the money for it. And the people that made it on the ground, they get the shaft. But then that's always been going on, and it still goes on. Believe it or not, that very practice still happens to this day. Even the Notorious Big. When it came out that the song, which what is it? Is it Juicy? I think it's Juicy. That song was pretty much lifted and shifted from somebody named Notorious Big from, I don't know if it was Tennessee or Memphis. It was some Tennessee or Memphis. It was Tennessee or some place like that. But the guy, he made the song, same beat, same flows, and the song was literally stolen from him, and it was Biggie's now. And up until Hotline Bling with your boy Drizzy Drakes, stealing the song basically from Drum, at least the cadence and other things like that. And so I say that to say that the industry is what it is. The practice of the music industry has always been the same. It's always been to pimp out, while the artists are meant to walk the stroll. And whether it's snowing outside, whether it's a category 5, they better come back with the dollars. And you're not getting anything. Bring me all the money. And like he said, I'll get you half a penny, or a percentage of a penny for all of your hard work. It's disgusting, man. And, that's why I believe the true route for any artist out there is to do it the independent way. Don't sign to any of these major labels. Be content with your show money, your merch money, You don't need to be at award shows. You don't need to be on the cover of magazines. You just need a solid fan base that supports the lifestyle you want to live. You could still have the fandom that you always wanted and desired. You can still change people's lives the way you want to, and you can really do it since there's no label heads telling you what and what not to say.
Right.
And now with the days where direct to consumer, where you can literally sell stuff off your own website, shoot and make your own videos without the necessary help of Hype Williams or anybody else that's industry gatekeeping, you can just do your own thing and be content with a modest lifestyle. And if you do that, you'll be just okay. But for the people that want to, sign their name over, you sign your name in blood with these major labels. One way or another, you're going to have to pay. And for all the people that's out there touring in their 60s, they're not touring because they love the game so much. They're touring because they're not getting money from their music. And touring is the only way that they can keep the lights on. So, yeah, man, word from the wise, from Mr. Mos Def himself. And I agree 1000%. But what are your thoughts on Mr. Yasiin Bey saying that the music industry is exploitative? Do you agree, sir?
Of course I do.
Mhm.
Of course I do. All power structures are exploitative. Um, yeah, the music industry is no different than college football before college football instituted, you know, things like name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal, allowing the players to get some of their power back for off of the history of that sport, earning billions of dollars year over, and players for the vast majority of the existence of college football not reaping any of those monetary benefits, while also being sold the idea, rather insultingly, that a free education is commensurate with their contribution to that machine. It was always exploitation, and it was never, it was always exploitation. Always. There's no one with a sound mind who can convince me that a free education is commensurate with earning millions, if not billions of dollars for the machine that is college football and these universities who make that much money off the football program.
Mhm.
A free college education is pennies on the dollar compared to that. So, I mean, the music industry, college football, hell, professional sports, it all serves to extract what it can from its labor force for as long as it can do so before they cast you aside and groom its next crop of labor force to continue on with this dynamic. So this is no different. This is not a new phenomenon. As you intimated, going independent is the true route to freedom. But so many of us don't take that route because of the lure of
Mhm.
financial freedom. See, that's the thing that gets people. Like when you come up in a circumstance devoid of financial freedom, you covet it and value it very much so. And you covet it and value it very much so that you will compromise your art and your blood, sweat, and tears if you're an athlete in exchange for a quick payout. When in the long run, whatever it is that you're creating, if you hold on to it and nurture it, is worth 10 times whatever you fork it over for. But the problem is economic inequality. That's the problem. The problem is disenfranchisement. When people don't know what it's like to live that kind of reality, they will jump at the earliest and quickest and easiest opportunity to acquire it, even if it means allowing themselves to be exploited. And like I'm not, and it's a tricky conversation, right? Because I'm not necessarily trying to engage in righteous indignation, because there's even me sitting up here talking like this in front of this microphone. If I create something and somebody, we somewhat talked about this last week with T-Pain. Like, if I create something and the valuation on it is $10 million, and some large company shows up or calls me and is like, "Hey, yo, we like what you're doing. We'd like to buy that from you for $50 million." Am I going to turn down that $50 million? I honestly don't know. I don't know. I'm being honest. I don't know. But I also know that if I hold on to it in 10, 20 years, my $10 million creation is probably going to be worth 400-500 million, so long as I don't run it into the ground and I continue to innovate and continue to put everything into it that I can. So, it's a somewhat tricky conversation to have, because I'm not trying to say I'm above it, but I also recognize why it happens. It's unfortunate, but it's something that's never going to end, because when you've created this caste system where there are different tax brackets and income brackets, and there's a wealth gap, and you have people living on one side of it and other people living on the other side of it, and certain people and entities on one side can offer you something that you covet, and you basically have to fork over whatever it is that you create to do it, but you will, because what they're offering you is something that you've always wanted. Hard to turn that down. So this dynamic is never going to go away. um Independent route, ownership, we talk about that stuff on this channel constantly. It is the way to go, but until the vast majority of the people recognize that power and don't relent on it, this will continue. Power structures are going to do what they do, even if they start off with the best intentions. You can't stop it. Like, you can't stop it. It's sad how much you can't stop it, but you can't stop it. Like, even vehicles that were meant to give power to artists, right? Just to take it back to music. I remember when Jay-Z had Title, and that was such a big deal. It was the wave, right? It was such a huge, it was such a huge momentous event that this artist owned this thing, that he allowed other artists to have a stake in, so that they can have some of the power and ownership over the pipeline of their music and their creations. And in 2021, what did he do? He sold it to who did he sell it to? Jay-Z no longer owns a majority stake in Tidal, but he remains a board member and stakeholder. In March 2021, Jack Dorsey's Square bought a majority stake in Tidal for $297 million. So he bought Tidal along with a few other people, but he was the majority stakeholder in 2015 for $56 million. And what happened? The dude who runs Square gave him a huge payday. And mind you, he's already self-actualized, and he still sold it for that $300 million and didn't look back. So now the thing that was supposed to give artists some of their power in terms of the pipeline for their creation is in the hands of this large corporation, and they're calling the shots and making the rules, exploiting the hell out of these artists, probably paying them pennies on the dollar, just like Spotify. So, I have a lot of respect for artists who, as you described, don't care about the quick gain, who are content with saying, hey, man, I have a nice 4-bedroom, 2.5-bathroom house. I got 2, maybe 3 vehicles that I can comfortably pay for. I can comfortably afford my mortgage. I don't have student loan debt. I don't have credit card debt. I don't have any of these outstanding debts, and I live a great life, and I'm okay with that. I can vacation when I want. I can do things. I can move and shake in the world however I want. I'm not a millionaire. I'm not a billionaire, but I can do all that. And I still own my pathway and my freedom, because I never sold this or sold that or signed on this dotted line or agreed to this contract. I respect that immensely. But there's just far more people out here who don't value that path than those who do. And until the pendulum on that flips, these exploitative systems of control will still be able to run roughshod over everybody, whether that is artists, athletes, or labor.
Hey man, I agree, bro. And that's why I always talk about Currency, man, and how he's and why he's my favorite rapper. He's still my favorite rapper. And as far as I'll be on here kicking all this stuff, and Currency, he's not the most in-depth guy. He's going to talk about his women, he's going to talk about his cars, and he's going to talk about his marijuana use. But at the same time, he keeps it as authentic as your cousin would, or your uncle, or somebody like that, man, somebody that's just down to earth and cool and chill. So yeah, he talking about all that stuff, but at the same time, he's not telling you to go crash out somewhere. He's actually doing the opposite, you know. So he had his opportunity to sell out and do his thing, and he went that way initially, uh, joining the likes of Master P initially, and then hopping on over with Cash Money. And when he was with Cash Money, he was doing that stuff, man, talking about guns and talking about unaliving people. Not him per se, but he know people that would,
Right.
that type of stuff, bricks flipping, all that those things. And so when he was with Young Money and all of that, I was like, currency's okay, you know. But when he went independent, man, and he just was just doing him, talking about things he wants to talk about, and it wasn't that other stuff he was doing with Young Money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey, I like this. Just keep rapping, bro. I like this. And then year after year, man, dropping multiple projects a year, just rapping and talking about his life. And I was like, you know what? This is chill as hell. And then over the years, man, I just realized that there was a large community he was building online because everybody sees him just being him. Every show he does, he packs it out. He sells merch. He sells it out. He got all the cars he could ever want. At least as far as he says on his songs, he's got all the weed he can ever smoke. The women are still coming in and out the house. That's what he wants to do. He has that happening, and he's just doing his thing, and he's content with it. He often speaks on him being content with it, and so he's living a life that other people wish they could live. And I think that's what a lot outside of changing people's lives. I think that's another thing that gets artists going. That's what makes them sign that name on the dotted line is they want to live a lifestyle too. They're not going to say that, but that's what they own. But you can live a life that's still, I guess, above the norm if you just stick to your guns and just do your own thing. Don't try to contend with the major labels. Don't try to make enemies of anybody. Currency's just flying below the radar. He's not hurting nobody's pockets. He's just doing his thing and he's getting out of the way. And if you were doing that as a recording artist, you'd be doing a good job. Another guy, more contemporary, is Money Man. And Money Man, he did his thing, signing with Birdman initially. But then he bought himself out of his contract and has been independent ever since. He's been independent before that, signed because he thought he could flip that and make it do something. He saw that they were doing what they do with everybody, and he was like, I'm buying out of this. He bought out of it, and he's just doing his independent thing again. Make multiple mixtapes a year, doing his thing, and he's living the life he wants to live. So long as you're content with a modest lifestyle, comparatively speaking to other artists,
Right.
you can do whatever the hell you want, man. And don't sign to these major labels. So there's a path out there for people that want to do it. And as I said, with all of these avenues for direct to consumer, for all these avenues for you to make your own type of money, sell your own merch, there's no need. And last thing I'll say is that even if you were somebody that signs with a major label, you can't just be good. You have to have something that's marketable. And nowadays with these 360 deals and stuff like that, they're signing people who already have a following. Mm-hmm. They're signing people who are already selling merch. They're signing people who are already selling out shows. They're signing people that already have 100K plus followers, X amount of listeners on Spotify. These are the people that they're signing. And so they're signing people that's already on. Mm-hmm. So if you already doing all of those numbers, why sign?
To get richer.
And you know what? And that's what I'm saying. So, there's only two people that do that. The ignorant or the people that want to live a diddler lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So it's hard. The narrative's out. There's so many case studies on people that went to the industry, how they got done wrong. And the young people don't have an excuse because they had cell phones since they was in elementary school. They know what's going on. And so if y'all want to sign with these people, that's all on you. But yeah, the tape is out on this. The jury is out, and if you want to sign to these people, that's on you. Mos Def, he was getting into this stuff when the jury was still out, and I think right now, he's speaking from the other side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with him 1000%, man. Avoid these major labels, avoid these exploitative entities out here that are looking, because like you said, these people that's coming to you and say, hey man, we like what you guys are doing over there at the conscious approach. How about you guys approach this $5.8 million? And then, you know what I'm saying? But the only reason why they're doing that is because the following, the this, the that, that's already on the ground.
That you already built.
And if you're already content with a certain type of lifestyle, then, there's no need to do those types of things, And like you said, so yeah, it'll do the numbers that it needs to do to pay you the life that you want to live. And if you're okay with that, if you don't need that big swing for the fences payday, that eventually one day you're gonna end up slaving away, because they're gonna own that and on everything else. It's gonna be some 360 stuff, because they do podcasters that way too. So yeah, man, stay safe out there, y'all, and hold on to yours and live a modest life. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I remember Chappelle, after he left Chappelle's show abruptly, and he was over in Africa. Once he got back to the States, he did an interview with Anderson Cooper, back when Anderson Cooper was still on CNN. I think Anderson Cooper left CNN, I think. But, Anderson Cooper was like, okay, well, what happened? Like, why did you leave? And Chappelle was like, hey, it was so much negativity and undue pressure. And I felt like sometimes I was being deliberately put under pressure to confuse me and to keep me working and keep me working.
Mhm.
And he was talking about how, he built, because essentially what you're describing is what happened over there.
Mhm.
Like he built that show, him and Neil and the other people behind the creative minds behind the show, built that show into something that could be valued at $50 million.
Mhm.
So, Chappelle was, talking about how it seemed as though Comedy Central, as the corporate entity, was trying to underscore its necessity by paying Chappelle $50 million and then stepping back and saying, all right, do your thing, handle your business.
Mhm.
And he, Chappelle was like, part of the reason why I didn't like it anymore was because the show had become so lucrative, it put too much undue pressure on me to continue to do this at this rate, while the valuation would suggest that the corporation no longer needs to provide the support that it used to.
Mm-hmm.
So, Comedy Central essentially was exploiting Chappelle and all of the other people who were creating that stuff, to create it at an even higher level to make even more money, while also saying, well, you don't need us as much anymore. And you should be content with this money that we're giving you, because we essentially own this entity. Thus, we're paying you this $50 million. So keep doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was like, no, boss. And he ended up leaving, and he didn't care about the $50 million. He was like, it's $50 million, but I feel miserable. And I find myself coming in to work every day and asking, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel as though those are the types of sensibilities that a person would need to have in order to go the currency route or the money man route. But I feel like far too often these creators and people in positions to leverage something that they've built, they kind of just see the short-term gain, and they allow it to like overtake their better judgment, and they just don't have the foresight to wait out and play the long game. Because at the end of the day, what you're doing, it's why they want to give you this much money, because they see the potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fluke that they're trying to make you work like this. There's a reason for it. So I would look at the offer that I'm being given as a gauge of what it is that I've built and what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that I would use it for. Oh, you trying to give me a contract for $5 million for 12 months and release how many albums a year? Oh, that means that the music that I am putting together and the cadence for my releases and the work that I put out can be valued at that much. So I'm now going to keep grinding on my own to make it even more than that, because I know it can be worth that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people, because of the economics of the situation, they just say, I will allow this to happen to me because I want to be rich. And it's like, at what point does the exploitation become a worthy enough price for your soul? And some people at the end of the day determined that it wasn't worth it. But I think a lot of people still to this day are like, I'll take that. Just let me
Yeah,
be,
it's crazy.
just let me be rich. And comparison is really the thief of joy. If you're running around saying that what you're describing as a modest lifestyle, and honestly, modest is a relative term,
Of course.
because modest for currency is not the same as modest for me.
Oh, it's not.
It's like I said, like if you're able to live in a nice house on your own plot of land and you can comfortably pay all your bills and you have no debts, I don't see what's not to be proud of with that. But
Right.
there's so many people who live through their feeds and they live through the prism of comparison. And they say, if I'm not doing this, I'm not doing it at a good enough level. And if I have to sell myself out in order to get there, I'll do it. And it's unfortunate, but it truly does lead you down the road of exploitation. And, more and more people need to wake up and realize that being exploited is not worth the price of that.
Yep, 1,000, man. So, yeah, we'll see what happens out here in this world, man. I'm constantly, not really. I'm not really surprised because nowadays the people that you see signed to these major labels, they look like they ain't got no brains about them. But the artists like, I think maybe Kendrick is probably like one of the last maybe people that came out that seemed like they've got a brain. But yeah, man, back in the day, bro, it was a lot of guys that talk some real stuff. Mos Def one of them, and they had major deals. I didn't know how that worked. I was like, hey, bro, you around here talking about destroying the very system that you recorded this album on. Like, how does that work? So you don't really see too much of that anymore. You just see the the Ice Spices and the NBA Young Boys.
Yeah.
So and the Kodak Blacks. So yeah, you really don't see these type of dudes doing it anymore on a large scale. And I think the music industry learned.
Yeah.
I think they found the type of person that they can exploit.
Control. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, give us 20. The labels love 21 Savage.
They love him, man.
Yeah, it's like what I said last week with them doll chicks. The industry loves that.
Yeah.
We're sitting up here saying this has to go, but the industry loves them some Asian doll, cash doll beef. Even if they ain't making no music worth any substance or anything that people care to listen to, just that environment alone is something that the industry just feeds off of.
It's disgusting.
So, yeah, it is what it is. It was definitely far less exploitative back then than it is now. It's just become an all-out free-for-all,
Yep.
And yeah, these corporations love to find a court jester because that's what the court jester is going to do, jest, and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to say anything against it. They'll just continue to jest.
Unbelievable.
So, shouts out to Mos Def, aka Yasiin Bey. Yeah, looking forward to that project with Alchemist, but we'll see when it actually comes out.
I'm not holding my breath, bro. Really not.
Yeah, that's right, baby. LeBron James himself unmuting to participate in this ridiculous ongoing face of the NBA conversation.
Damn it.
So coming out of the All-Star game, Anthony Edwards, one of the stars of the league, sure, was giving an interview. And during that interview, he was asked the question, does he want to be the face of the NBA? And his response essentially was, no, I don't want to do that. That's what they got Wemby for. I just want to be the guy who shows up to work, kills dudes, and goes home. And that's gotten it's continued this ongoing ridiculous conversation about the face of the NBA. And during the post-game media availability, LeBron was asked about Anthony Edwards' comments about not wanting to be the face of the NBA. And this was also in lieu of Channing Frye, someone who used to play with LeBron, also giving his 2 cents about the face of the NBA, saying that the biggest problem with the NBA is nostalgia. The fact that people compare the NBA currently to past generations and refuse to let previous generations go is killing the league, and it's contributing to toxic dialogue around the NBA. And LeBron basically agreed with all of that and offered up his opinion as to why anyone would not want to be the face of the NBA, Anthony Edwards included. So this says LeBron James sounds off on NBA media in face of the league debate. Shit on everybody. LeBron James will have to eventually pass the torch of being the face of the NBA, but he said he knows the crown is not wanted and knows one of the reasons why. Anthony Edwards was thought of as one of the potential next torchbearers, but at NBA All-Star Weekend, the Timberwolves star pointed his finger towards Spurs big man Victor Wembanyama. James said this week that he didn't take offense at Edwards' opinion, as the 40-year-old said he understands why no one would want the job. The four-time MVP said part of that reason is the NBA has people covering the league who shit on everybody. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play what LeBron had to say here.
That's unfortunate.
So let me go ahead and blow this up.
It's unfortunate.
So yeah, so here's LeBron. You know, because I could read the quotes, but who better than LeBron himself to,
Seriously,
give these quotes, and then we'll talk about what he had to say after that.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but like, I don't know why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis on everybody. I mean, that responsibility. It's just weird. It's weird energy. And, I don't know, but Channing, he said it. He said it perfectly. Couldn't have said it no better. But Ant said he don't want it. Obviously, I didn't ask for it, but I knew there was a responsibility for me, not only to my family, my friends, my community, and whoever that was going to follow my journey throughout my career. Not only in Ohio when I started there, but all over America and all over the world when I traveled all over the world. So I've always taken that seriously and understood from the beginning what being a professional was all about and being a role model was all about. So try to hold that with the utmost respect and honor. And but I feel and I understand. I completely understand. This is weird energy when it comes to that. So.
Shut up, bruh. Weird energy.
Is there anything else worth me reading here? Let's see. I don't think so. I think that pretty much covered it. James' answer caused a stir around the league, and with at least one media member. ESPN Stephen A. Smith took James all the people. ESPN Stephen A. Smith took James's all the people to include himself, which caused him to rail against the 21-time All-Star on Friday morning. First of all, there's a whole bunch of players that cover the league. They're former players. They're not just reporters. They're former players, former big-time players, former Hall of Famers. You can't be a former Hall of Famer. You either are or are not a Hall of Famer. They talk about the league too. Is everybody negative? Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, Stephen A. Smith went off on it. LeBron responded, kind of. You see his little response here. Happy this convo has started. It ain't about face of the game, and it ain't about one person or one show. It's about the culture of basketball, the most beautiful game in the world. Our game has never been better. Incredible young stars, blah, 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 blah. Incredible young stars from all over the world and some older ones. Steph Curry should be all we are talking about today. Let's discuss how great OKC and the Cavs have been this season with two completely different styles and break down why and how they have. Of course, if players don't perform, we need to discuss that too and break that down. So that was LeBron continuing with this because people came at him somewhat for saying what he said. But there you go, man. LeBron, of course, when he speaks, people listen. And he says, why would anybody want to be the face of the NBA? Because all people do who talk about the game in the media is shit on the league. Are you buying any of this?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Because when you watch major, now I don't know who he's talking about.
Right.
Because when you watch major sports news channels, all they do is praise this man about his his unbelievable basketball skills, his basketball mind, his unselfishness, his clutch gene,
His longevity.
his longevity, he's top 2, top 3, or number 1 every week,
Yes.
every day,
Yeah.
every broadcast. So who is he talking about? I know who he's talking about, and he's talking about everybody else, because this is what's going on in the world of sports entertainment. There is a horde of people out there that are LeBronites. They can't see beyond anything he does. He is the greatest to do everything. There's an built-in excuse for every reason he loses. Everybody that critiques his game is a hater. These people are no different than the Beehive or Swifties.
Honestly, they're no different. Yeah, you're right. They're no different than Jordan fans. It's like, to me, LeBron fans are cut from the same cloth as Jordan stands. I really don't see a difference in terms of the hostility towards a different opinion, other than he's the greatest ever. So, because LeBron fans like to do this thing where they blame Jordan and Jordan fans for everything wrong with the NBA and talk around the NBA when they do the exact same thing.
Exactly. If not worse.
If not worse, right.
Because at least with a Jordan thing, there's a lot of reasons to that legitimize that argument. Even though I don't get into that, there's a lot of reasons to legitimize that argument. But for this guy, there's so many reasons. There's countless that are counter to the argument that he's one of the best to ever do it. There's tons of players that I would take over this man, and it has nothing to do with his ability to dunk or bulldoze his way to the hole, complain about fouls or anything else like that. This guy here, he's just a selfish individual. He makes everybody acquiesce to what he does. He turned Chris Bosh into a 3-point shooter. He turned Kevin Love into a 3-point shooter. He took Dwayne Wade, who was, I believe, leading the league in scoring the year before LeBron came, and then just made him into a role player. What he did to what he tried to do to Kyrie. The list goes on. What he just did to Anthony Davis. This guy here is a pariah. I can't stand this man. And this is what he don't like. Because he's the face of the league, there's people out there that critique him for his game and all of the stuff he's done to the game. Him not wanting to participate in the dunk contest, him doing all this other stuff, playing for stats, all these things. And whether he likes it or not, there's a lot of, I think he does love it. I think he loves it, actually. There's all these young people, or not all these, many of these young players up that are in the league right now grew up idolizing this guy. They think he is the best, or whatever, and they grew up emulating this guy. So a lot of people around the internet, not in major media, a lot of people around the internet, they like to fault LeBron for today's modern NBA type of player. All about stats, all about accolades, but not about heart, determination, and all those other things. So when he's out here saying that, oh yeah, who would want to be the face of the league, or all they do is crap on us or whatever, he's talking about alternative media. Because the real media, which has already been exposed, that he pays for these people. So people like Nick Wright, he's part of Clutch. People like Perk, he's part of Clutch. Shannon Sharp, part of Clutch. And so there's other dudes that are getting Clutch dollars just so they can get on live air and say why LeBron's the best player of all time. So when it comes to being an ambassador for the league, I'll tell you this, he is, like I mentioned this before in the previous Drake topic, he's like Drake of the NBA. He's got all the hits. He's always on the radio. And whenever you think about rap or hip hop or whatever, you think of that. And so the same thing about basketball. He is a name. He's a person that's associated with basketball. But when it comes to bars, substance, making music that pacifies them, that's LeBron James. All right. And so he doesn't hold the league up to a high esteem. Last thing I'll say is he's like, oh, we don't talk about how Cleveland and OKC are tearing up the league. No, we don't. Why don't we talk about that? And it's because they are the league, Clutch Sports. It's a situation where they try to sell this face of the league every single day. So every single day, whether the Lakers played or not, the Lakers are on the thing, or LeBron's on the thing, even before he went to the Lakers. So yeah, man, I'm over all of this stuff. You can't run around here saying you know you're the king, the chosen one, and all these other things, and then say woe is me. You know what I'm saying? If I had a violin, I would have played it while he was sitting there with his fake ass tears. So not buying it. And yeah, man, he can go somewhere with that. But what are your thoughts, man, on LeBron saying that who would want to be the face of the league? And I got something for Channing Frye too on the go around. But you know, what are your thoughts on LeBron saying that who would like to be the face of the league when you only get crapped on at the end of the day? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I don't buy what he said. But yeah, he used Anthony Edwards essentially as a proxy to talk about himself.
Yeah.
Because all he was doing during that whole soliloquy there was talking about how he feels the media has treated him. And it had nothing to do with Anthony Edwards, because he views anyone who critiques him in a context other than the greatest of all time as objectionable. And that's his problem. Let me first address the face of the NBA thing. The conversation around face of the NBA is a media creation.
Yes.
It's a media machination.
Yes.
All right. I have been on this earth for almost 40 years. I have been watching NBA basketball since I was like 6 years old. I have participated in countless NBA debates in the hundreds, if not thousands, maybe even the hundreds of thousands. Who the hell knows? I lost count. All right. Of all of the heated debates and conversations and back and forths that I've been involved in when it comes to the NBA, not once, literally not once, have any of those conversations been about who the face of the NBA is.
No.
No one gives a damn about that. No one gives a damn about that. I haven't had one. I am 38 years old. I will be 39 in a few months. I have not had one conversation with another person who follows the NBA or watches the NBA about facing the NBA. That is something that no one cares about. Yet it is something that is constantly being discussed as a media talking point on all of the rated shows. So it's a media machination. Fans and people on the street don't even care about that. And it's a media machination because, as you intimated, there's a media aspect to the following of these sports that needs to be addressed by these entities, because they need some sort of a linchpin to gravitate towards. So whenever they're having these segments talking about face of the NBA, they're not doing that for fans or people watching the show. They're doing that for themselves, because what they're essentially doing is conducting an on-air, real-time focus group session to try to figure out who is the player we can use as the marketing linchpin to make sure that we continue to rate as a business. And for the last 20 years, that individual has been LeBron, and they are in desperate search of the next person who has not come up yet. Because guess what? Players don't care about that either.
Exactly.
They don't care. No one cares about that but ESPN. ESPN is the only entity who cares about who the face of the NBA is. Who gives a shit? No one is talking about that. The millions and billions of people who follow the NBA, I guarantee you, are not walking around trying to figure out who the face of the NBA is. Hey, I'm going to be here to watch these games regardless. So whether there is a clear-cut designated face of the NBA or not, I'm going to be watching these games anyway. So I don't care. I really don't care. Furthermore, so that's one aside, right? That's one aspect of this. The whole face of the NBA and how important a conversation is a complete and utter media fabrication. It's not even real. No one really cares. On top of that, this idea that everybody poops on the NBA. Who are you talking about, LeBron?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, who are you? I watch these shows every day of my life. All right. When I'm in, I listen to more sports talk radio than music in my car. I'm on Fox Sports Radio. I'm on ESPN. I'm on ESPN Extra. I'm on NBA Radio Sirius XM. All right. I consume nothing but sports media. I don't even watch movies or TV shows anymore. Like my television consumption, my media consumption is sports shows. First Take, First Things First. What's some of these other shows? Colin Cowherd. I'm watching these shows every day of my life. No one with a credible voice in the media is really talking bad about the NBA on a toxic level.
No.
Any dissenting opinion from a credible voice in the media is dissecting basketball. So unless LeBron is equating negativity to somebody saying, yo, bro, stop it with all the threes because your 3-point percentage sucks, no one's talking bad about the NBA. And that's like, Channing Frye is such a clown.
A clown, dude.
Such a clown. He wants to talk about inside the NBA, and he's blaming people like Charles Barkley and Shaq for talking bad about current players. No, they're not. I watch that show every week. All Charles Barkley does is say, bro, you're like 1 for 10 on threes. Maybe stop shooting them because you're not that good at them or you're having a bad night. Stop it with the turnovers. Get your free throw percentage up. These guys are making way too much money to sit out games. Have a little more commitment and dedication when it comes to honing in your craft. Get your turnovers down. Get your free throw percentage up. Get your field goal percentage up. Take better shots. When Charles Barkley is talking about how undisciplined the Houston Rockets are because they're a young team still on the rise and they get in games and take bad shots, that's not talking bad about the NBA. That's critiquing basketball.
Exactly.
There's a difference. But you got morons in the media like Channing Frye who are conflating the two. And then here you go with LeBron parroting that speech. Because LeBron is butthurt that the world doesn't universally recognize him as the greatest of all time. So whenever someone gets on television or in a podcast and says, I kind of still like Michael Jordan, now he wants to say everybody talks bad about the NBA. Nobody talks bad about the NBA. Who are you talking about, bro? Are you talking about fans on social media and Twitter? Their opinions don't count. Like fans and random inconspicuous avatars on the internet do not ultimately frame the legacy of these players. The people who frame the legacy of these players are talking heads who are credible in the media. Individuals like Stephen A. Smith and Nick Wright, Shannon Sharp, Chris Broussard, Kendrick Perkins, when they say what they say over the course of 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that's what ultimately frames the legacy of these players, not fans on the internet. So if fans on the internet are saying LeBron's a bum, who cares? They're not credible. No one who is credible poops on the NBA. So that's a fallacy as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what these guys are talking about. What they're doing, in my opinion, is conflating basketball analysis with like cultural critiques. So me saying you're a bad shooter, stop shooting threes, you're taking bad shots, and that's why you aren't the player that you could be, and that's why you're a minus on the court and your team is losing in part because of your play, they're conflating that to mean people are talking bad about the game. When all that is basketball analysis. That's all it is. So I can't stand this crap, and I can't stand these new media morons, these peons, people like Channing Frye who really do get on these platforms and say this stuff and they believe it with a straight face.
Richard Jefferson too.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're doing the game a disservice.
They are.
They're making it worse. So all the way around, this stuff stinks to me. LeBron can get out of here with his nonsense because he made that about himself. It wasn't about Anthony Edwards. I don't care what anybody says. He was talking about himself.
Absolutely.
And furthermore, it's cap that he didn't want to be the face of the league.
Exactly.
Yes, he did.
Exactly.
Because who would make you know that most people recognize Jordan as the greatest player ever, and you went and took the number.
Right.
What do you like? You don't want to be the face of the NBA, but you took his number. And after you won the championship in 2016, you basically said you believe that you've earned the right to be called the greatest ever.
Yeah.
So you don't want to be the face of the NBA, but you also reserve the right to do that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
These people are out of their minds, just like these people that we talk about in hip hop and rap music, and these box rappers and these Insta thoughts. These people, I swear, bro, I'm surrounded by people who are out of their minds and they've lost all ability to see logic in what they say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because you have a lot of impressionable people who do appreciate sports who don't know any better, and they'll hear LeBron talk and they'll believe it. And they'll hear Channing Frye talk and they'll believe it. And they'll go out into the streets and they'll parrot this garbage.
Yeah.
No one is talking bad about the NBA. That is a fallacy. People need to get off that.
Well, I'll tell you this. There are people that are on the ground who bash the NBA. They are, but they're not in mainstream media. You know, so yeah, like you said, those people that are on Twitter or whatever, and there's plenty of YouTube accounts that get plenty of views that absolutely windmill on LeBron and today's modern NBA with their entitlement and all that other stuff like that. It's a narrative going on around that, but it's not a narrative being spewed on mainstream media.
Correct.
So for him to be running around here saying that, oh, the media, what media? Social media?
Right.
Shouldn't that be the one that actually matters? You know, the ones that's not bought and paid for, you know, by either the league or you. And when it comes to the face of the NBA, this was a thing. This was a thing that started with Jordan. You know, now there was a situation where, you know, I think they really learned what they can do as far as the NBA's marketability with Bird and Magic. Because if my dad, when he was telling me that what was going on before Bird and Magic, he was like, hey, man, the league was just a league. People watched it, but it was whatever. But when Bird and Magic hit the league, it was this thing going on. It was a real, he didn't use this analogy, but it was a real Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark thing happening there. And so there was a lot of eyes that wanted to watch it. And I think before Magic and them got there, it was still on tape delay. But then eventually it got to a point to where, hey, they're actually showing these games live because, well, there was a more growing interest in basketball. So the NBA from there started to learn how they could benefit off of having stars being the face of the league, you know. And then came Jordan, who actually just fit the bill, you know, just a dynamic guy. So I missed Air Jordan. I was still in Pampers when Air Jordan was being Air, you know. So I caught Jordan when, you know, after the Pistons already beat him up, and you know the league changed the rules to help him. And so, but you know, Jordan did his thing, and while I was watching the NBA in the early '90s or whatever, I couldn't stand Jordan. I felt like the league was colluding and cheating for him. He would get calls that other people didn't get calls for. And then there was this whole thing that, you know, my brothers were saying, oh, he's a superstar, man. So he gets a superstar calls. Superstar calls.
Yeah,
What the hell is that? Yeah, this is NBA foolishness.
Yeah.
And so Jordan was the first person I saw to get that kind of treatment, you know, but he was the face of the league. But one thing that Jordan did is that he just was doing his thing with it. You know, never did he beat on his own chest, say he was the greatest player of all time. He still doesn't do that. You know, whenever anybody wants to bring up that conversation or whatever, he always, you know, give homage to the old heads, the people that was before him. And, you know, he always gives his peers, you know, the utmost respect for the most part, unless they said something to him and he took it personal. You know what I'm saying? But then comes LeBron. And so LeBron fit the bill, you know. But then they tried to force a square peg into a round hole. He had all of this God-given talent, but no clutchness. He had all this leaping ability, but no heart. He didn't have any of the stuff that Kobe or Jordan had. You know, Kobe messed it up with the Colorado situation. And so now we got LeBron, who's actually out here that's, whoop-de-whooping. So no stain on his name, no none of that stuff. He's running the league and whatever. But the thing is, when LeBron was doing that, and he wanted it all. So I guess this is a hindsight 2020 thing for him. But I call Capri on that, because he's sitting there acting like, who would want to carry this crown? I mean, getting stones thrown at you every day. I mean, who would want this? Yeah, man, making it seem like he's going through, whatever. No, the only reason why people calling you out, bro, is because we see all of that, all the Capri, all the, avoiding big moments, clutch moments and stuff like that. And for Channing Frye to sit there and talk about it's nostalgia from old heads that I guess just hating, get off my lawn people. You want to call me nostalgia, bro? I'm the same age as Channing Frye, damn near. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a nostalgia situation. This is a situation of me watching guys who actually took the game seriously versus me watching divas right now who are load managing. These guys can.
It's ridiculous, bro. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, these guys, all they do, and we talked about this before, man, all they do is say, wow, these guys today have such better ball skills that it doesn't, all of this other stuff that's going on culturally with the NBA, we should be disregarding that and not talking about it because we need to be appreciating their ball skills, their ability to do step backs and hit threes, and the skill is so high that all this other stuff that is culturally working to the detriment of the NBA should be ignored because we have a responsibility to prop it up. It's ridiculous, man. And no one's not doing that. But what certain people who are like, to me, I distinguish credible from non-credible. Mm-hmm. Like, to me, you can have a large following on social media, but if you're not like an accredited person in the media, to me, you're not credible. You're just someone who has an opinion that people pay attention to. But there's a difference. So, like, for me, it's the credible people who ultimately shape the conversation around any sport. And all I see from those who I would determine to be credible is critiquing basketball. And if they're not critiquing basketball, nothing negative is really being said. It's nothing but lauding and heralding all these guys. To this day, you have people in the media who are credible who will make excuses for Ben Simmons. Kowtow. The NBA media is soft. Like, as far as I can see, and I watch all of these shows, no one is really critical of the NBA like that. Everyone is pro-player, anti-management. Whenever things go awry, it's not because the players sharded on the situation. It's because ownership and management and the GM did. Mm-hmm. It's always the management's fault. It's always owner's fault. It's never players' faults. Leave it. Some credible people in the media are basically saying the Phoenix Suns aren't because of the players, but because of management. Now, is management somewhat responsible? Yes, but those guys are on the court and they're supposed to be star players. You shouldn't be under 500 and an 11 seed, but they are. And a person pointing out that them sucking on the court, thus becoming an 11 seed, is like people in the media shitting on the game? No, that's basketball critique. And that's what gets me so frustrated and exhausted with this conversation. No one really cares about who the face of the NBA is. That's a corporate machination. It's a media machination. People who pay attention to and follow the sport don't care. They don't care. And then these guys who get so butthurt and lament how bad the NBA is, they're just mad because someone would dare fix their face to say you're not playing that good right now. There's a difference between that and actually shitting on the NBA. And people like LeBron are conflating those two dynamics. Just because I critique your game and your approach to the game and the way that your team is playing and the results of high leverage playoff moments does not mean I'm shitting on the game. It's basketball analysis. These individuals need to get over it, but they won't because they're whiny crybabies who are entitled and can't fathom a world where anybody would have anything constructive to say about what they do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And that last little sentence that you said is him saying that you're sharting on the league. And because you're not talking about their game at that point, you're targeting the players and their their crybabiness and all that other good stuff, you know. Nah, but that's my critique of the league. And so it's not so much, you know, Channing Frye, he could say him and Richard Jefferson, you know, those are really clown human beings. And I just had to look it up, man. We're still younger than Channing Frye. So for him to be hollering nostalgia, you know, I guess he could still say that, but he's saying like it's nostalgia in the sense that it's coming from older people. I guess like the Kenny Smiths and the Charles Barkleys and the Shaq.
Correct. Yeah.
But it's still a situation. It's like, nah, bro, I'm younger than you, bro. And I was there. I saw it. And these guys don't play as hard as the guys in the 90s. If these guys with this type of skill, because these guys are skilled, trust me, I know they are. But if they had as much will and tenacity as those guys in the 90s, it'd be a much better product. And I wouldn't hesitate to say that these guys are better than the guys in the 90s because, yeah, they can do more, you know, but they're not because they're missing something. And it's just the same thing with like modern rapper stuff. You know, these guys can rap as fast, they can freestyle, you know, they can do all of this stuff. These are really talented guys out here. Some guys that really don't need to write nothing down and they can make a whole damn song. You know what I'm saying? But when you listen to that song, even though they're making words rhyme, nothing's making sense. And if they use that talent to freestyle and all that stuff to actually sit down and compose a song, they would be the best songwriters of all time. Instead, the best songwriters of all time are reserved for older generations because they actually sat down and took time in their craft. So the same thing can go with these modern NBA players. There's nothing nostalgic about that. It's very practical. So these guys with all their elite ball skills and all this other stuff, they're still a bad product to watch. They're scoring more points, but it's still a bad product to watch. And this is not a talking point that's being talked on mainstream media. This is being talked on by people who historically watch basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And so for people who are fans of the game, who don't like to see the direction of the game going, of course, we're going to have critiques. Last thing I'll say is that the face of the NBA, it is a media imagination, as you say, but it's also an NBA thing. And that's why I was bringing up the whole Jordan timeline situation.
Well, I group the NBA, like when I say media machination, I group the NBA.
Okay.
In with that.
So yeah,
I look at it all as like a corporate thing, like a corporate creation. Yeah.
And this, so the NBA lumped right on in that. Adam Silver lumped on in that, and I told you for the longest, I really felt as though part of the media's narrative, like you said, sitting on there and really think tanking online, not online, on air, like literally just trying to, you know, focus group and be like, hey, who can we make the face of the league? So it was the Ja Morant thing, but he wants to be a YN. All right. Then we got Anthony Edwards, who can care less. You know what I'm saying? And so they wanted to make somebody domestic because it made no sense to skip over Luka. It made no sense to skip over other guys that were balling, but international blood, you know. But now that's why I really feel as though that's why when we talked about the Lakers trade with Luka, I really felt as though the league just bit the bullet and said, look, we got to make an international person the face of the league now, you know, or the face of our franchise, the Lakers. So honestly, man, I really feel as though the league, they do these things. They're looking for somebody to prop up because they think that that's the business model. And the reason why I think they think that's the business model is because of what I told you what happened with Bird and Magic. Same thing that's going on right now with the WNBA and Clayton Clark. She's driving up sales, and then they can stick a face to that. And then they're trying to make her the face of the league because she drives ticket sales. She drives everything. So the NBA think that this is part of their business model, but the NFL don't do this, more or less, until they started doing this crap with Mahomes. And this year, a lot of people started to get upset and calling out the NFL for all the weird things that happen in these Chiefs games. We ain't the only ones that complain about it or see it. So, you know what I'm saying? So these leagues need to get it understood that just let these games play out and let the cream naturally rise to the top. Exactly. And competitive balance is what people want to see. We don't want to see these dynasties. We don't want to see any of that. We want to see teams that are actually well constructed, who play well, follow the rules, win. Period. Whether it's this a situation or not, where we have to have this one person that we have to hold up over everybody else, is garbage to me. It's a crappy business model and it's outdated. So yeah, man, that worked in a world where there was only 35 channels on TV. But nowadays, with all this stuff going on, and there's so many talented players in the league, why not give them all praise? Why not give them all shine? And that way, nobody's going to be hating on just one person because they're tired of hearing about that one person. So yeah, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. But the thing with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and the thing with Jordan is they captured like the cultural zeitgeist of the league. It was lightning in a bottle, right place, right time.
Mhm.
It was a combination of several things happening at the same time. Who they were, what they represented, how good they were, their games, and then also culturally what they stood for.
Mhm.
So it was an organic thing, is what I'm trying to say.
I
You
agree.
can't make somebody face of the NBA. It's something that happens organically.
Exactly.
It's, the market almost has to determine who that individual is. And if
Exactly.
you're smart enough to recognize who it is, then maybe at that point you can capitalize on it. But you can't artificially assign someone that position. It doesn't work that way.
Thank you.
So
I
you
agree.
sitting around searching for who the NBA is, it means you don't have one. That's what it means. It means that right now that particular distinction is vacant.
Agreed.
It means that one doesn't exist, and you can't force that. Like, it has to happen organically.
I agree.
So I just think that this is a weird, goofy conversation, period. And it's a goofy conversation that only happens with the NBA, which further cements my belief in the NBA currently dealing with an existential crisis. It doesn't know who it wants to be or where it wants to go. Why do you need a face of the NBA, and why do you need to assign it to somebody versus it happening organically? If you're trying to figure out whether Victor Wembanyama is the face of the NBA, it means he isn't.
Thank
And
you.
I don't care how tall he is and how much he can block shots and shoot threes. These individuals aren't growing on trees. If you're trying to figure out whether he is or is not that person, it means he's not.
Thank you.
Stop trying to force that. And yeah, I feel you with the NBA, but the NFL rather, the NFL is ironclad. They're above this. But as I think about this, and I don't really follow baseball all that closely, but to the best of my knowledge, I don't hear anybody talking about who's the face of Major League Baseball.
No, they don't.
I don't hear anybody talking about who's the face of the National Hockey League. This is only an NBA conversation, which to me is ridiculous. And that to me is a referendum on the culture around the NBA. And nostalgia has nothing to do with that.
No, it doesn't.
Because people thinking nostalgic about the NBA didn't dictate that there must be a face of it. So I just, people need to get out of here with this. Channing Frye needs to sit his ass down.
Yeah.
And again, with LeBron, bro, I respect LeBron, but personally, like I have said before, I can't wait until he retires.
Boy,
I can't wait.
You think he talked too much now? Wait how much? Wait how much he talked when he retired, man.
Oh,
I'm over all of this crap, man. Get out of here. But I like that business model, man. It's kind of like I said with modern music, man. You just release the whole CD and then let the streets pick out what the hit's gonna be.
Yeah.
Versus like back in the day where the labels was like, hey, here's the things. Like, let the streets choose, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, bro. Shouts out to Charles Barkley and Shaq and Kenny Smith on Inside the NBA. And the clowns like Channing Frye need to go take a knee.
And Richard Jefferson. Can't stand them bastards.
And now we have some interesting remarks by friend of the channel at this point, DJ Akademiks, who had some thoughts on female rappers in general. And basically his thesis is female rappers don't have the same challenges as male rappers. He believes that making music is not a priority for female rappers because they have a litany of other ways that they can cash in on their persona, and it presents them with opportunities and things that they can take advantage of that male rappers simply can't. And he uses Megan Thee Stallion as a case study for this. So we'll get into Mr. Akademiks' comments here real quick. So this says DJ Akademiks claims women rappers like Megan Thee Stallion are more interested in being influencers than making music. DJ Akademiks is someone who does not mind taking shots at anyone and everyone who may oppose him, including Megan Thee Stallion. In fact, in the last few years, Akademiks has been accused of mainly having women targets. Although he may not see it that way, it is certainly a narrative that exists online. He has been quick to fire shots at women in the past. However, there have certainly been times when he has gone after them, like Vic Mensa and even Meek Mill. No, however, there have certainly been times when he has gone after men, like Vic Mensa and Meek Mill. Recently, DJ Academics found himself on stream for the first time in a couple of weeks. He was returning from vacation and had a whole lot to get to, especially in light of the new Drake and Party Next Door album. During during his stream, Academics devoted some time to congratulating Nicki Minaj and giving the pioneer her flowers. This subsequently led to a rant about women rappers today, Megan Thee Stallion in particular. It was here where he claimed that women rappers drop one huge album, then struggle to sell 100K first week because they want to be influencers. It was here where DJ Academics pointed out that Megan has 32 million followers on Instagram, but still struggles to sell her albums. One has to wonder why this happens, as the numbers don't lie in that regard, although it is impossible to assume an artist's intentions as we simply do not live in their head. During Academic Stream, which can be found on Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube, the commentator has always tried to hypothesize about the rap game to varying degrees of success. Megan Thee Stallion and other artists like Glorilla, Sexy Red, and even Doechii have been having good years as of late. While the first week album sales numbers might be weaker than anticipated, they have been able to cultivate dedicated fans, with which a huge part of the equation for sustaining success. It will be interesting to see what they can all do in 2025. So let me go ahead and get rid of this. And at the risk of being flagged,
Fair use.
we're gonna go ahead and play some sound from what DJ Academics had to say. So here's a brief snippet of him getting into female rappers, basically saying that they deprioritize music and just want to be influencers. Yeah, that's what I need to do. Okay. All right, here's what he had to say.
You know the interesting thing about female rappers, like half of them, like female rappers don't have to drop music at the rate of a Drake, a Young Boy, or any of these guys who drop frequently, because they drop one project, go on one tour, they get so much marketing behind that all they do is have to post bikini pictures, and they get shit ton of marketing deals and these other promotional deals that really almost equate to their record label or their record deal. So it's like, why drop music all the time? Right? Like, if you wonder, like, I love Cardi B, but like, Cardi B ain't dropping 5 years. Yeah, because Cardi B is still gonna be able to go get a fucking endorsement deal with some eyelashes or some nails or some makeup or whatever the case is. Which, as a guy, you might be able to get certain type of endorsements, but your endorsements won't really match what you would normally get on not only show money or being in the club money or your record deal, but as a female, like, shit, you post a picture, 2.3 million, you're gonna run it up. You get what I'm saying? You get shit. You know the amount of money people would pay for this? Look, we're the girls that like to have fun. If she's promoting some tequila, like, this is probably like a $200,000. This is like a $200,000 ad buy right here, damn near. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, what would she have to do to get $200,000 from her label? You know how many records you have to sell? Then you got to recoup doing all this shit. Like, fuck no. You see, like, for female rappers, it is beneficial. Like, I know people say it's unfair when, female rappers to male rappers, but what female rappers could do that male rappers can't do is, like, use their sexuality to promote like a shit ton of other products, because you're going to get a woman who can't sell 100,000 records with 32 million followers, and she's going to be able to sell everything else. She's going to be able to sell booty shorts, sell tequila, drive the boat, or whatever it's called. So she's good. At least, she's going to be good monetarily. But yeah, this was her last post before. I think this was the last post. She was like, "Oh, this is the last post of the year," or whatever the case is. This is from last year. I'm looking in there. Has there been a lot of music? Where's the music at? No. Yeah, she's promoting tequila. She just has a birthday shoot. Yeah. Again, I'm not hating. I'm just saying. I think sometimes when we're talking about music, and we start talking about these female rappers, it's the reason why. There is sexism in hip hop, but there is a reason why their music don't go nowhere. A lot of them not focused on music. Like Shorty, like just think about this. Shorty dropped a twerk video to it. I forgot what's she dropped a twerk video. She dropped a twerk video, and then everything else she's posted since then got to do with her using her sexuality to promote some other shit. Again, she's making millions of dollars, but you don't expect that person who, like a nigga like NBA YoungBoy with a dent in his head, you think he could be like, oh, I'm just gonna be a model? No, nigga, keep dropping music. That's it, or you're not getting paid. Period.
All right, so that's pretty much the gist of it. So, as academics unmuting there, basically bringing up the dichotomy of sexuality to talk about the difference between male and female rappers. What did you think about that?
Yeah, man, it's hard to say that I disagree with that. You know, for him, for the business that he's in, you know, boots on the ground, I would say, it's pretty clear observation to make. Me personally, I'm not too worried about how often these women come out with their music. So for him to make that you know, correlation there is because of, you know, the type of industry he's in and what type of business he's on. And yeah, he's always concerned about how much these rappers are selling first week and all of that. So me personally, I don't put much stock into that anymore. Nowadays with streaming and other things, the numbers are cooked in a weird way where these people aren't getting the right kind of representation for the amount of spins that they're getting, because these streaming platforms just arbitrarily came up with what equates into one sell or one this or one that. And if somebody listened to a song on repeat or whatever, and it's got X amount of millions of plays, that's pretty damn strong. But they'll say, oh no, that's only like 15,000 sales. And they do that to short the artist. So so I don't really buy that first week sales anymore. I don't think artists should do that anymore. If they're hanging their hat on that, they've missed the boat. The game is rigged. So, but be that as it may, you would still assume that even with the cooked up numbers or whatever, that some of these people would, I guess, do better than what they do. So even though the numbers are cooked up, it's on a curve now, you know. So they're still comparing themselves to each other. And, you know, some of these people I think would do better, but they don't. And I think that nowadays it's not so much about the music, it's about the personality associated with it. And I think people are buying the person more than they're buying the music nowadays. So Meg, she's got a lot of people that you know, she's got a lot of I don't know, people in her stable. What does she call her?
I think they're called the hotties.
The hotties, that's right. So she's got a lot of hotties out there, I guess. And you know, Nikki, she's got the barbs, right? So, you know, people buy into her, and there's people that buy into Cardi B. So and yeah, so he's got a point, you know, when it comes to these women selling themselves sexually and getting all these sidebar endorsement deals and stuff. And yeah, they can, because you know, women are something else. It was a joke on Seinfeld, man. Because this is an episode where Jerry was dating this girl who, you know, she was an exhibitionist. She liked to walk around the house naked. And you know, one day Jerry saw her, you know, he was enjoying it, but one day he saw her trying to open a pickle bottle or something, you know, and she was straining, and he didn't like the visuals on that. So after that, he got a little turned off, and he wanted her to stop. So he decided to get naked himself. And there was somewhere in there, I don't know who brought up the joke, but it was a very powerful point that they made. And they was basically saying that, you know, women's bodies they're beautiful things, man. Women like them, men like them. It's a work of art. But a man's body is hideous, man. Men are like creatures. And we're disgusting creatures. So even if there is a highly attractive male, no, he's not going to get as much money as a woman would selling themselves sexually. So yeah, it's these female rappers. They all look in like a particular type of way, and even if they're the petite type of rappers or whatever, they still are showing certain parts of their bodies. So all in all, I think all the female rappers know this. This goes in line with their box selling rap. So I don't really see. There's nothing really here that's a shocker by this. I think that's just part of the current business model. Is that these rappers, these female rappers, make a hit song about selling box, and then become what I guess air quote influencers on the back end, where they're always either at the top of some headlines for what they're wearing, or just getting into regular celebrity gossip stuff, just being part of the fodder, and that way they get paid too, staying on the top of the algorithms. So yeah, it makes sense to me. This is the current business model in rap, whether I like it or not. And but it makes sense to me. I don't necessarily condone it, but I understand it. But what are your thoughts, man, on what DJ Akademiks had to say? Akadiddy, basically out here saying, that these female rappers don't have to put in as much work as these male rappers because they can sell themselves sexually. What are your thoughts, man?
I agree with him. I think the only reason why there would be pushback towards the existence of this dynamic is because I think certain people who think, or rather, I think certain people who look at the world logically might be a bit confused, because I think logically minded people have been, especially in the last, I would say, I don't know, I would say within the last 2008. So what's that? 17 years since 2008. So I would say within the last 15 to 20 years, logically minded people have been told that, the world as we knew it is dead, and the world as we need it to be is currently in the process of being created. And in that world, everybody is the same and equal, and no one is being sexualized. And so we need to move away from living in a world where women are viewed as sexual objects and all of this other stuff. So I think certain people who look at things logically are experiencing a little bit of cognitive dissonance whenever they see people like some of these female rappers willfully leveraging themselves sexually in order to get ahead in the world, because they're probably thinking to themselves, I thought we were supposed to be moving away from that. But the thing that you need to understand is we were never moving away from that.
No.
What we've been trying to move away from is women not being able to leverage themselves sexually on their own terms. See, I don't really think people, period, have an issue with women being sexualized or even over sexualized. I think the only issue is the perception that the sexualization of women is not being done on their own terms. I think as long as it's being done on their own terms, it's a free-for-all. People can sexualize themselves all they want. Hence, so long as it's a woman's decision to be naked, her being naked in public is actually an encouraging thing that everybody. Yeah, it's an empowering thing. Yeah. so like when these chicks show up at these award shows with these sheer dresses on where they're naked, like I don't need to know. Like I don't have to imagine what Sierra looks like naked. I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. Like just because she's wearing pasties over her nipples and her areola, I have a vivid enough imagination. I can pretty much in my mind picture what that looks like. I've seen everything else. And as far as I'm concerned, that's sexualization. So I don't really think female sexualization is the offensive thing that has been sold to us as. I just think that them not being able to do it on their own terms is the true offensiveness, not the existence of the sexualization in the first place. And I think for some people, they're a bit confused because I think we've been sold on the idea that it's the mere existence of the sexualization that's the offending act. when really it's the ability to choose when and where and how to be sexualized, and the lack thereof, that's the actual offending act. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So to bring that back to this topic, talking about DJ Akademiks, I think he's correct on that. I think he's right. I don't really think these female rappers, this is my personal opinion, I don't think these chicks really care about art or music. I think they care about being stars. I mean, Megan Thee Stallion literally has a song where she's like, I'm a star, I'm a star. Like, I don't really think, like, you can see it. There's clearly a distinction between an individual such as Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Glorilla, Sexy Red, Lotto. There are differences between those women, and if you look at somebody like Lauryn Hill, or if you look at somebody like Jean Grey, or if you look at somebody like Rhapsody, right? Even people who were like not even really good at rapping, but really did approach it with some sort of an artistic flair. Going back to people like Angie Martinez, for example. Like, I don't consider her amongst the pantheon of all-time great rappers, but she's one of those New York people who really did care about bars and lyrics and rapping. So when she was making her music, she approached it in the same way. And there's a difference between that and people like this current generation of rappers who I believe care more about being famous and being stars than being like lyricists and MCs. So when that is your priority, I believe, you're going to do whatever you can to meet that end goal. And making music is merely a part of your equation. But what's also a part of your equation is leveraging what you can from a physical standpoint. And so long as it's on their own terms, these women are going to leverage themselves sexually. And it is what it is. Like, I think he's right, but I also believe that the only reason why this is a point of conversation is because some people are looking at this and they're a bit confused by it, because like the cultural and social ivory tower in the world has been trying to convince the world of the idea that we're moving away from this as something that people do. And we were never moving away from it. What we were trying to move more towards is women dictating how and when they can be naked and lewd and over-sexualized, because the sexualization has gone nowhere. As a matter of fact, I would say it's even amplified. When I was, in high school or in my early days in college, women weren't trying to be naked in public, not on purpose. Now they're trying to be naked on purpose in public because it's viewed as a fashion statement. And it's viewed as a fashion statement because they're doing it on their own terms. Thus, it's okay and socially acceptable and empowering. And so that's what these female rappers are all about. I don't think Megan Thee Stallion cares really about being a rapper like that. I think she wants to be an influencer, famous person, and she's going to do what these chicks do nowadays, which is leverage their bodies, twerk, make sure that at any and every occasion, as much as possible, they're going to show off how good their bodies look, because that's their draw and that's their contribution to the world. And if you are offended by what I'm saying, don't take it up with me, take it up with them. They're the ones doing it.
Yep.
So, it is what it is. I think Akademiks is correct. And this is something that men don't have the opportunity to leverage, which is part of why I think people need to have some perspective. For the crowd out there who's always, woe is me, women have it so bad, women have it so bad. Well, tell it to these influencer chicks who can get on OnlyFans and make $50 million in a year. How bad do y'all really have it? Because men don't have the ability to do that for the most part. And does it involve sexualization and exploitation of yourself? Yeah, but you can still have that avenue. You can still have at it with that avenue if you so chose. There's far more gym influencers who are popping on social media who are women than men. No one cares about the male gym influencer. People only pay attention really to the women who are gym influencers. Why? Because it gives people more of an opportunity to gaze at their physical bodies.
Yep.
And no one wants to gaze at the male physical body in the gym.
It's hideous.
It's all about what the men, it's all about what the women want. It's all about what the women look like. And as you said, even women are on this. Women want to see naked women just as much as men do.
Which is weird.
Especially on the
But LeBron say that's weird energy.
Yeah, especially on the internet, bro. Especially on the internet. So, I think he's right. And I do think that we are, I said this before, we are currently in the midst of social deconstruction, right? A facelift, as I like to call it. There is an aggressive mainstreaming and normalization of hyper female sexualization.
Yep.
But it's taken on a different form because it's more redeeming now due to the fact that it's the women themselves who are dictating their hypersexualization.
Correct.
So somehow it's morally more appropriate because they're the ones who are dictating it. But to me, the sexualization in and of itself remains, and it isn't going anywhere. So he's right. There is no incentive for them to be better at their craft because they can just put on lingerie, put on bikinis, shake their ass in a video or two, and the numbers go up, the comments go up, the like button gets hit, and men do not have the wherewithal to take advantage of that dynamic. So there is a dichotomy there, and there is a difference. And whether you think that that's good, bad, right or wrong, fair or unfair, I'm not here to litigate that. I'm just saying that it does exist and it will continue.
Yeah, and the hypersexualization of what goes on in the West, honestly, anywhere now, it's concerning to me. People can't get enough of this stuff. Everywhere you turn, man, at least on social media, that is, you see twerking. These modern women that believe into this stuff, when all else fails, they just twerk. Okay, they just, hey man, this isn't working. Let me just turn around and shake my ass.
For example, not to cut you off, but there's just so many examples of this. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, we should no longer be complaining about female sexualization. That we should no longer be having any more debates about whether women are being unreasonably sexualized. I'm saying like that should be completely dead because they're doing it themselves. They're their own. No one's forcing this. Like it's happening willfully because they get to dictate it. And the only reason why I bring that up is because even when I'm being innocuously sold something, the backdrop of it is sex. Attractiveness, sex.
100%.
Yeah, so like I don't need you to be looking good. Like, don't give me a chick with a sexy body to sell me like Adobe Acrobat. I don't care.
They're doing it though.
But they're doing it. Exactly. and it's like, bro, I cannot get on my YouTube for 1 second.
Not one.
And not see something on my feed where there's something that is otherwise mundane, right? An item at a grocery store, a seasoning, a movie, or a device. Yeah, something where it's like I don't need sex to sell me this. Yet who's the person who's in the ad? A very attractive woman with a nice body. And the camera angle in the ad is panned out. You can see how nice her shape is. It's ridiculous.
Right.
So
it works.
It does work. So like so my whole thing is this ongoing conversation talking about the victimization of women. It needs to go. It needs to stop. It honestly needs to stop because they're voluntarily, willfully engaging in this for themselves. So since they get to dictate their own terms, and we basically are complicit in the notion that because they get to dictate their own terms, it's now okay. We should now no longer be having debates about whether the sexualization happens. Who cares? Who cares?
Now that I agree with, but I'll just caveat, and I know what you're getting at. I'll just caveat where not all women are doing that. And so the ones that aren't, that they're respecting themselves enough not to. And so, but the ones that are out here doing that for real, I'm not here to. So if, like, let's say that there's a situation where, a woman does go to the club with one of these modern dresses on where you literally see ass cheek hanging out. Now I'm not saying that she should get assaulted in any kind of way, but at the same time, if everywhere she goes, a dude is hollering at her, "Hey, Red, hey, this, hey," she can't get pissed off. She can't say, "Hey, respect me for my mind," when your ass is hanging out. You know what I'm saying? So those days they've been needed to go, but especially now. Especially now. But there are women out there that do carry themselves with class and with respect. They don't like none of this stuff going on. They're not walking around with multicolored hair. All right. They're not walking out here with eyelashes that touch their forehead. You know, they're being regular people. And so for those types of women, much honor and respect to them.
Yeah.
But these girls are here that's muddy in the water are no different than these YNs out here muddy in the waters for us guys, because not all of us guys are out here on demon time. You know what I'm saying? Either sexually or violently. You know, there's some guys out here that are just chilling, man. So I know that there's women out here that are just chilling, but these women out here are messing up the game. You know, like I said, when all else fails, twerk. You know, but not every woman in my feed, you know, that I still have on my Instagrams, they're not all twerkers. You know what I'm saying? And so there's respectable women in there that are just trying to raise their family. Every once in a while, they want to show a little cleavage. Hey, man, that's whatever. But they're not out here wearing nipple pasties. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's a matter of knowing your personnel for these situations. And one last thing. Yeah, man. So they weren't out here when we was in high school. They weren't doing that. But that's when the thong epidemic popped out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because, you know what I'm saying, girls were still, they weren't wearing, you know, big old granny panties. They had their little regular things going on. But then it transitioned over to thongs. And then they was letting you know they were wearing thongs because they'll let it ride over their jeans.
Right. Yeah.
And that was causing an uproar amongst older women then.
Yeah.
So, and the women were like, what are y'all doing? Now these girls out here, no draws at all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, just letting it clap about when they're just trying to go to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? All this free to nipple stuff. Hey, man, they just walk out here braless, pantyless. You know what I'm saying? Can see right through it. And I got X-ray vision of Superman. You know what I'm saying? So I can already, you said your imagination. Hey, man. So I could see through any damn thing. And these women are leaving nothing to the imagination. And then they're wondering, and then some of these women are wondering why they're not in stable situations. They're in situationships here, situationships there, or whatever. It's because of how they view themselves. And if there was enough self-respect going on, then they would carry themselves differently, if you ask me. And because again, these women are no different than the YNs who love to walk around with their ass hanging out. You know what I'm saying? With they jeans down to their ankles, thinking that they thugging. And it's not. So, and I could tell you that those guys don't respect themselves. So, yeah, we got an epidemic of that going on in the culture, you know, and it needs to go, honestly. But the hypersexualization, it comes from all different angles. Like you mentioned, man, you can't go anywhere without seeing it. I'm trying to watch, football games and stuff like that. Commercials will come on. You know, they're selling car insurance, like I mentioned, but they'll show some woman walking by. She's wearing jeans. She's fully covered.
Yeah.
But the way that they showed the angle and stuff like that, it makes you, Allstate. I didn't know y'all was doing it like that.
That's my thing. It's the pervasiveness.
It's everywhere.
That's my thing, bro. It's not like okay, so if I go to the club, I have an expectation I'm gonna see women dressing sexy. Like, I understand that. Like, if I go to the club, if I go to any sort of gathering like that, any sort of social place, I go to a bar, a lounge, or whatever, I definitely expect to see women dressing sexy, and I don't besmirch that. I actually don't mind it at all. I appreciate it. But my thing is the pervasive sort of subliminal nature in which this is all taking place, where now it's like we're not even really concerned with the merit of what's being given to you, so long as it's being given to you within a sexual context, not inadvertently, but like subliminally, subconsciously, as an undertone. Then no one cares about whatever the thing actually is. Case in point, and we talked about her on the channel before, cooking with Kaya. Like, cooking with Kaya is not really about food.
No, it's not.
It's not about food. It's about her and her looks and her body. And now I am not here to litigate Cooking with Kaya. I'm just pointing out what I see, which is food is the backdrop. But what's really going on here is her skimpy outfits, her hairdos, and her twerking, and her putting whipped cream, spraying whipped cream in her mouth.
You.
So that's about, like, for me, it's the pervasiveness of it, and I just think as a society we have come to understand that, like, hypersexualization, especially when it comes to women, is a part of the cultural zeitgeist, and it's like okay now because women are dictating the terms of it. And if those are the rules that we establish, I'm fine with that. But I also kind of don't want to continue to be bombarded with constant think piece and conversation and intellectual debate over the merits of female sexualization in a patriarchal society when women are now signing up for it and doing it on purpose. That's my only point. And the last thing that I will say is I hear where you're coming from. So yeah, I'm with you on that. This is not, I'm not I'm not trying to be a generalizer and say all women are doing this, but it's obviously more of an aggressive mainstreaming of the behavior. We could definitely agree with that this form of behavior is being aggressively mainstreamed and being sold to everybody as, like, who cares? Just go ahead and do this. It's where we are now.
Right.
So that's the difference. But, if these are the rules, then fine, I'll rock with the rules. But I think right now there's some tug and pull in terms of appropriateness and what should and should not be happening. The world is saying one thing, but there's still certain pockets of people who are saying another.
I agree. And to your last point there, that is being aggressively sold. And there were women that were on the fence in life, on the fringes, willing to buy this if it was sold to them, and it was sold to them and they bought it. And much like how these corporations and stuff are using these subtle subliminal things in order to get you to pay attention to their car insurance or their refrigerators, they are selling sex very subtly in order for you to buy into whatever they're doing. And so these women have been sold sex as a form of control as well. I talk about before, whenever we're dealing with these corporations and stuff like that, is that they want a population of people that are off balance. And a population of people that are off balance are easier to control. And if they're easier to control, they're willing to give you their money. And so in order to have a destabilized country, you need to make sure that these people are overly sexualized. And so a lot of the stuff that these things are promoting is promoting a form of degeneracy, and unfortunately, a large amount of people, both, on the black side, white people, everybody, if you're in America, you're being sold this garbage, but our sisters right now, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on with this stuff because a lot of these box rappers are literally spewing this garbage to them. And some women that don't even have a talent at all on a microphone just think they can go out there and make a hit and sell their body.
Or just don't even bother trying to do anything legit. They're immediately hopping on the OnlyFans
and selling their body.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man. So to me, I think this speaks to a greater conversation as well. And it speaks to the over-sexualization of the mind going on here. I'll just speak on the West. The over-sexualization of it, both male and females thinking that they can sell it, and men thinking that they have to buy it at every goddamn turn. Excuse my French, but it aggravates me, man, because you know what I'm saying, when I see it in the algorithms, I go, okay, she shook her behind, I get it, but some dudes buy it. They buy it, and now they all in the comment section thirsting for a page that it's not even her page, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a YouTube channel, and you sitting there as, hey, what's her at? So you can go follow that. Yeah, man. Hey, man. Hey, bro. So, hey, man, people need to tighten up, but so long as the algorithms are not being controlled by the people, it's being controlled by the people who want to control people. This is going to be something that's going to be promoted for a while until, honestly, it's done its job. And right now it's doing its job because consumerism is still at an all-time high, even though inflation is at an all-time high. So yeah, man, people need to pay attention, man, of what's going on and what they're being sold, and not buy everything, you know.
Yeah, and certainly stop buying all of the sex. That's a good place to start. But yeah, you're right, 100%, man. Slaves to vagina, bro. It is an epidemic. What are you gonna do? And now we're gonna talk about Mr. Omarion.
Oh boy, these guys.
Music star, former member of the boy band sensation B2K. I'm not exactly sure why he's making the media rounds. I don't know what he has going on. Like, is he dropping something?
He must be, bro.
Okay, I don't know what he has going on, but he's trending because he recently offered up his take on monogamy while on the Sherry daytime talk show. So this says Omarion once again shares his views on monogamy. We're meant to spread our seed. Omarion is once again explaining his take on monogamy in relationships in a recent interview on Sherry, the 40-year-old. I did not realize he was that old.
Yeah, bro, we're old, bro.
I thought that I was older than him is what I'm saying. Like, I knew we were I knew we were around the same age, but I didn't know that he was older than me. I thought
he was younger than us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, proceed.
The 40-year-old singer spoke with host Sherry Shepherd about various topics, including his past journey with celibacy and his thoughts on monogamy. When Shepherd brought up the topic of practicing ethical non-monogamy or having multiple romantic partners with everyone's awareness and consent, Omarion replied, I would say for me, being open is important. And also, the women just truly outnumber the men. You know what I mean? He added, I love this conversation because I think when men are open and honest, they don't want to have just this one thing for the rest of their life. It gives a woman an opportunity to choose and to further understand a man, because I think that women don't really understand a man. Elsewhere in the conversation, Omarion revealed that he practiced celibacy for 3 years as part of a spiritual journey. At that particular time in my life, I was on a spiritual journey. I was studying more to just really ground myself, being a child prodigy in this business. Always, that seemed a little pretentious, but okay. Always reaching for another level of success. You forget to ground yourself, said the former B2K singer, who later cited Lenny Kravitz's 9-year celibacy as inspiration. I'd like receipts on that.
Exactly.
The conversation echoes past comments Omarion made in May 2023 interview on Shannon Sharp's Club Shay Shay podcast. It's been a while since I've actually been in a girlfriend-boyfriend type of relationship, but I think a private life is a happy life. I believe that she finds me. It might be she's might find me. Plurals, she's. I'm just saying, if I really thought about my lifestyle and being with me, the pressure of being with me, and it just being one woman, I don't know if that exists. So, Omarion is on the Nick Cannon page there. Nick Cannon.
A little Neo action.
Yeah, Nick Cannon, Neo, Cam Newton, a little bit of that. So here is what Mr. Omarion actually said. So we'll go ahead and pull this up. So here is him and his infinite wisdom on how he feels about monogamy.
Yeah, the child prodigy.
He's a child prodigy. Yeah.
Chair for Hot Topics about actor Kofi Siriboe, and he says that he practices ethical non-monogamy. Okay, do you think that's a good idea? Ethical non-monogamy.
Well, I will say I'm in agreement. I don't know all of the backstory of those words, but I would say for me, being open is important, and also. The women just truly outnumber the men. You know what I mean? And this is
you're supposed to have, is this like an all-you-can-eat buffet over here?
No, let me.
Okay, go on, explain. I'm not jumping on you.
Let me just say, it's only a few good men. It's only a few good men.
Right.
anything, you know, we end up fostering the next generation as well. So why not have our queens or the women? Because I was raised by all women.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Why not have our queens aligned with that? That it takes a village. It's not going to just be one man. You know, you could get married. That man still ain't going to be just your man. He's going to be, you know, there for his daughter. He's going to be there for his mom, his grandmother, you know. So this concept isn't really foreign. It's just a little old, you know, and it's meant to be upgraded. And I love this conversation because I think when men are open and honest that they don't want to have just this one thing for the rest of their life, it gives a woman an opportunity to choose and to, you know, further understand a man, because, you know, I think that women don't really understand a man. Certain women do, but there's a larger conversation that has to be had about understanding men and how, you know, we're meant to spread our.
Well, I want to say this, Omarion. I want to say that.
He threw that in at the end,
I was
like.
totally against all of that polyamory, but you keep staring in my eyes. I'll be one of the this right here.
Yeah, and I
Who else you want? I got a cousin, Janita. I got this one over here. My gosh.
Yeah, she'll bust it open for him. I know she would.
Oh, she already said she would. She said he keep looking in his eyes. He keep looking in her eyes like that. She gonna be open to you know, whatever he wants to do. So, are you buying what he's selling? You think his agreement with what is it called? Ethical non-monogamy?
Man, what are we doing, bro?
Just not wanting to do a monogamous lifestyle, right? Like, you buy what he's selling?
Yeah, man. Honestly, I feel as though that's what I'd be saying whenever we're talking about the neo conversations. I just found the term ethical non-monogamy absolutely hysterical. Don't run around here with that stuff, man.
They're getting very educational.
Yeah, man. Like, yeah. I'm not trying to do that because then there's going to be another thing, man. Because people are going to start breaking this up like genders. Yeah. And it's like, look, man, I don't need that. Are you ethical or are you the listen? Listen, man, I'm the non-ethical, non-binary. How you you know what I'm saying? Like, get out of here, man. But in all seriousness, man, you know, he has the approach. I say that it's pretty much the same message I was getting at for people out here and that do want to live a life where they want to be open to their partner. And I guess people can call these open relationships or whatever they want to call them. But I really feel as though people can build things openly, per se, you know, so to speak, I would say. You know, you could still be in a situation because people are already doing that now. So for instance, like I mentioned before, like people got people in their phones that they're like, there's an unsaid agreement that they're like lifelong sex partners. You know, it can be a 4-year hiatus, but you know what I'm saying? If the algorithm's right, you know, it might go down. And those people have an understanding, you know. And so I think people already kind of do this. Of course, this is generally speaking, not everybody does that. But I'm saying all that stuff to say is that if people looked at this and approached it a little bit differently, it's not the boogeyman. It actually is quite practical in building a society. You know, all his talking points there, you know, I'm pretty sure him, you know, hitting some nerves there and some people with the whole, yeah, there's more women. Hey, man, there's more women in the world. And hey, we got to spread our seed. And, you know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he struck a few nerves there with all his stuff. But his approach as far as how softly he was speaking on it, you know, and him siding with women like, hey, man, there's women in my family, too. So, of course, there's respect here. I'm not trying to be, you know. So him approaching it like that, yeah, it'll make the whole Sherry want to bend it over and be one of the women in the harem. You know what I'm saying? So honestly, I think it's about how you go about it as man, honestly. You know, part of going about this isn't to be king dingaling. It's a situation of now, if you're really doing this in a situation of nation building, I'm for it, you know. You know, even for casual daters, I still think it'd be less fights, less domestic situations where if there was openness and maturity to go with that. So all in all, you know, much like the Neo topic last week, I agree with this type of approach. Labeling and all of these things, I think that's getting a little too much for me. So even Omarion didn't. I don't know what all those words mean. Yeah, me either. But overall, just being honest with your partner, being open with it. I think that's the best way to go, especially nowadays, like we mentioned in the last topic with the over sexualization of people. People really can't keep it in the pants, man. You know, people are really struggling with that nowadays. And my caveat to that is it's okay. So long as you just be mature and open to the next person and not lie your way through life, I think you'll have better results. But what are your thoughts, man, on what Omarion's got to say on his ethical non-monogamy situations? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think we're getting too carried away with having to kind of give everything a turn. So now this is called ethical non-monogamy. I think we're getting carried away with this stuff, man. You know, we're getting too scholarly.
Yeah,
with how to classify people who don't want to be with one sexual partner. I agree with the spirit of what he said 100%, and you echoed basically everything that I've always agreed to as well. I'm not here to determine whether monogamy or polyamory or polygamy / polyamory is the right way to live, but I will advocate on behalf of the idea of people being honest with both themselves and the people that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I'm also inclined to agree that there would be less relationship turmoil if people entered into them knowing everything that they needed to know.
Agreed.
So if you're a guy and you know that you want to have sex with other women other than your main chick, we need to stop lying about that and just let it go. Put it out there and say it. Give that woman a chance to make an informed decision.
Agreed.
If she can somehow live with that, then you know you got somebody who understands where you're coming from and there's no secrets that need to be held. And if she can't live with that, give her the opportunity to go her own way and find a guy who's on the same page as her. But I think a lot of times, you know, and you know, this is anecdotally, I personally believe the reason why the divorce rate is as high as it is, you know, anytime you see people filing for divorce, the majority of the time it's irreconcilable differences. All irreconcilable difference is a legal term for somebody cheating on somebody. Like the vast majority of the time, that's what irreconcilable differences means. Somebody got cheated on. And statistically, usually husband or man cheating on his woman, right? So it's just like, if that guy, because listen, we as men know who we are, even if we don't want to reconcile it, come to terms with it, and be honest with the people that we're dealing with. We know who we are. We already know before we get into committed relationships or marriages whether we might find ourselves compelled to maybe explore opportunities with other women. If you know that you have that compunction, you need to first of all come to terms with it so that you can just be comfortable in your own skin, and then let this chick know. Because if she knows and y'all end up getting married, you ain't gonna be holding secrets. There's less of a need for you to be secretive.
Right.
She already knows you do this. You can probably let her know, oh, I was here with this person doing this, blah, blah, blah. There's an understanding. Sure, it doesn't necessarily sound ideal because we've been conditioned to sort of believe that serial monogamy is the right path to, you know, family and household. But if that is not your path, but you still intrinsically want to be a part of a context such as marriage, you have a responsibility to be honest about who you are. And that's men and women, because women can't keep it in the pants too these days.
No, they can't. No, they can't.
Women love sharing a box. They like keeping options open and sleeping with this guy and sleeping with that guy. I remember a long time ago, I was watching a late night talk show, and somebody who I'm very fond of from our generation, Nia Long, she was a guest on the show, and this was back in the mid 2000s, and she was like, "Yeah, every woman should keep multiple men, one man for sex, one man for company, one man who can sort of, show you a nice time.
Yeah, trick off, translation.
Yeah. She was saying it, and at the time I was like, well, at least she's letting me know what she's about, not being secretive about it. She ain't trying to shadow ban me from her phone, you know what I'm saying, and hide stuff. At least I know.
Right.
Now I can make the decision whether that's something that I can handle or not. If I
Agreed.
can't, I'm gonna go my own way.
Agreed.
And if I can, then I'll live with it.
Right.
But the lack of honesty is what's driving these situations into the dirt with these relationships.
I agree.
Everybody's lying. Men are lying and women are lying. Everybody's lying.
Yep.
So I agree 100% with the spirit of the idea that honesty is the best policy. Now, here's what I will say about this whole thing. I still, at the end of the day, believe that for the most part, at least with men, I'm not a woman, so I'm not going to speak for women. I'll just speak from the perspective of a man. I still believe that for the most part, most men who are attempting to adopt this, they're not doing it because they want to build community. They're not doing it because they want to have a stable household with people occupying pertinent roles. They're not trying to foster nation building, as you put it.
Mm-hmm.
I think men, for the most part, are embracing this because they want to be morally recused from having to answer to having as many women as they want.
I agree with that as well.
What all we want to do is reserve the right to have as much sex with as many women as possible and not be morally entangled by it. We want to be able to be morally free. Hey, I can do this, and I don't have to deal with being called a cheater. I don't have to deal with being accused of betraying somebody. I don't have to deal with being called a liar. I don't have to deal with breaking up a household or a family because I did this. Men just don't want to deal with the moral entanglement of wanting to spread as much seed as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, this has less to do about family and community building and more to do with.
I agree.
So the interesting thing to me is this weird labeling that we're doing now, making it educational.
Legitimizing it, man.
Yeah, it's the legitimization. Ethical non-monogamy. That sounds really good. It speaks to the point that I made last week.
Yeah.
People want to put labels on stuff so that they can feel morally at peace with the decision.
Yeah,
to have
because the term polyamory is so taboo, bro. if you're, you know what I'm saying? What is this? Honest, non-what?
ethical non-monogamy.
Yeah, man.
So that is an attempt to place a label on something so that you can live a lifestyle and not have to morally reconcile your decision to live said lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I do agree with the overall sentiment that honesty is the right way to go, I still believe at the end of the day, especially for men, this is all about sexual appetite. It's all about sexual appetite. It's all about being able to have this chick today, this chick yesterday, this chick tomorrow, this chick next week, and you don't have to deal with anybody feeling as though you morally compromised yourself, because it's like, hey, I'll let you know I'm doing this. And there's even a term on it that I can tell you this is what I practice. So go away with all of your righteous indignation, trying to make me seem as though I'm a bad person because I want to live my life this way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only caveat is don't try to put a bow or a ribbon around this thing to make it seem like you're trying to, create a commune and you're creating a society and doing things in a communal way like how they used to do back in the old days. This is just all about people's sexual appetites. That's what this is all about to me.
Yeah, and I agree with that. But I thought that and my argument about all of that is I see this as a long-term solution. I could be very wrong, but I just see this as a long-term solution of situations breaking up or violent situations or whatever. Now, people still got to be mature about this, because trust me, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah,
because people gonna be bringing in their monogamous ways into this, and they're gonna get offended. They're gonna get this. They're gonna get that. This person get more attention than me. This person, So it's gonna be ugly when it first gets started. But I think overall, in the long run, I think that if it is a lifestyle that some people want to live and they agree to that and some people don't want to, that's fine. I don't think everybody needs to do this. But for the people that are the serial cheaters, the people out there that is the serial daters, they need family situations. They need something that they're responsible to and come home to. Because there's some dudes out there that are serial cheaters that are men that had good women, but the situation went south because they were liars. And my argument with this is, even for those serial cheater men, if this was a thing that was being more accepted, then that good woman would understand the situation, and then he wouldn't be out of a woman that's holding him down and stuff like. Now he ain't in the streets as much. Now he's not going to commit a crime like that because he got something to come home to. I just think that this overall is it would save situations more than it would in the long run. Again, this is all projection. I don't know what the hell gonna happen with people.
Yeah.
All right, but I think that this would keep families intact. It'll be more of a jumbled up family, this and this and that, more of a whatever situation, Brady Bunch type of thing. But that's better than dad went AWOL. He went to go get some milk and never came back.
Right.
So you never know, man, how that stuff gonna play out. But I still think people need to be honest. I put this on a younger generation of people, man, us and below, to, be mature out here in the dating world. Because if we carry in all of these antiquated ways of looking at relationships with today's modern over-sexualization, it's a recipe for disaster. And so there needs to be something that we come up with that can try to help save and preserve the idea of family. And if it takes on more of a traditional format of polygamies or whatever means, so be it, so long as we redirect the trajectory that families are going in right now, because right now it's going in the pits. So
yeah, unfortunately it certainly is. At a certain point, we're also going to need to factor in the cultural and environmental parameters which sort of dictate one's likelihood of falling into this trap versus not. Because, I've seen it go the traditional way. It's interesting. Real quick, this is the last thing that I'll say. Like when when I was living in Tally, right, and I was around a lot of people who grew up who are from the area, from the region. It was a very normal thing to see people in monogamous situations, and they're okay with that. Like no one was feeling trapped or constrained or wanting to get out or wanting to explore or have other experiences. It was a normal, typical thing for people to be like, yeah, this is my chick or this is my dude, and they stayed together or they got together and it was fine. And a lot of them ended up getting married, and it was just a normal thing to observe that. And there's a racial element at play, but I always used to wonder about that. Like, is it locale? Is it location? Is it environment? Like, what are some of the parameters in one's immediate environment which would dictate a higher likelihood of being okay or content with being a monogamous? Because I've seen it happen and it works. And I do think that environment and culture play a role in this stuff. Even being down here in South Florida, like I see how, a lot of, now again, it's not a one size fits all, but I'm around a lot of Hispanic people. I live in a heavily dominated Hispanic area, and I see younger Hispanic people who don't appear to be wayward. Like they look at only having one partner as the ideal scenario. And they don't necessarily feel as though they need to experience anything else. So what is it that did or did not happen for them, which sort of predicated them being able to kind of live like that and be okay with it? And I'm not trying to speculate. I'm just saying I've observed this. Like I've noticed it. So I do think that there are certain cultural and environmental stimuli and things which sort of dictate a higher likelihood that a person is not going to want to be polygamy, polyamory, ethical, non-monogamous, whatever the hell you want to call it. And so there's an aspect of that particular part of the conversation that does need to happen, because a lot of this to me falls along cultural lines. You know what I'm saying? It's like I said before, what is it with the NBA and the NFL where you see the majority of these guys getting bammed up on account of their personal lives with the women that they're with, being exposed, getting extorted, getting extracted for money. You know, people like Zion getting leveraged and finessed by women, by sex workers and stuff like that. You see more of that, for example, and I'm not trying to give a reason why, I'm just stating that this is my observation. You see more of this in NFL, in basketball and football. Whereas I don't really hear as much of that going on in baseball and hockey. And there's a clear, discernible difference culturally between baseball and hockey and basketball and football. And I don't know what it is or what you can pinpoint, but there's definitely something environmental going on, which sort of suggests that a person may or may not be more likely than not to feel like monogamy is something that they're okay and content with. You know, you even look at people like Trevor Lawrence and Patrick Mahomes. They seem to be married and okay with that, versus Tyreek Hill, Antonio Cromartie, yeah, guys who very clearly are not built for monogamy. So, it's interesting. I do think some of this is cultural and environmental. But at the end of the day, above all else, honesty being the best policy is 100% the right way to go, albeit the motivation for this strictly in terms of, in my opinion, being sexual.
Yeah, I hear that, man. And last thing I'll say is that, Umar Johnson would tell you that it is a cultural thing, and it is how we historically lived on the continent, and we're just carrying on it through our DNA, and we are being pigeonholed into a particular way of living which doesn't suit us, so that's why we bump heads. But other cultures and other societies do what they do, and they grow up watching a certain thing, and it's normal for them. Yeah, Umar, not me. Umar, Umar would say that. So who knows, man? All in all, I think that this is an interesting conversation that needs to continue, just in general, because again, I really think that this is an American phenomenon. It's going on all over the world, but really with this, and the more that these people that are new to the country get Americanized, they will then start to gain that appetite as well.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It don't take long either. It don't take long. They get over here, especially in a place like this. They get in Miami for 3 weeks and they'll be all about it. They become members of the city. Trust me.
Yeah, man. BBLs and all that good stuff.
Hey man, shouts out to Umar, man. You know what they say, bro. If Umar said it, that means it's true. It's facts.
Hey man, I don't know, man. I'm just saying. Hey, shout out to Omarion, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Out here just saying random things.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Oh, and now for another clown segment on the Conscious Approach podcast, we have a back and forth between the Rick Rosses. One being the rapper Rick Ross, and the other one being the infamous kingpin Freeway Ricky Ross, the individual to whom the rapper Rick Ross derives his namesake. And apparently they got issues with one another stemming back a long time now. Freeway Ricky Ross has never been a fan of the fact that Rick Ross took his name. He feels as though Rick Ross should have at least asked him permission or cleared it with him first out of respect. And I guess Freeway Ricky Ross is now a boxing promoter. And when giving a couple of sound bites, he basically, insinuated that Rick Ross was a little suspect. And of course, Rick Ross had a response.
Interesting.
in only a way that Rick Ross knows how to respond to something. So this says Rick Ross calls Freeway Ricky Ross a gangster informant following Rose sound gay comment. Rick Ross and Freeway Ricky Ross are still taking shots at each other. On Sunday, Too Cool to Blog posted a vlog of YouTuber Peaks 100 meeting boxer Raleek Bourne. When Bourne introduced Peaks to his manager, who happens to be Freeway, Peaks asked, "You the real Ricky Rose?" referring to one of Ross, Rick Ross, the rapper. Ross, "Rose sound gay," the former drug dealer replied, "and I ain't fat either," he added, pulling up his shirt to show his belly. The two have been beefing for some time. Last summer, Freeway appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience where the host asked, "Have you ever seen anybody confront Rick Ross about you?" Not in person, no, Freeway replied. "Anytime I'm around, he disappears." Freeway said he thinks it's crazy that Rick Ross seemingly took his name and never asked for permission. "How would you take my name and not have the decency to ask me?" he said. "You should have asked." Freeway took his issues to court, suing the rapper in 2010, though he ultimately lost on a technicality. "I didn't care about the name like that. I just felt that it was so disrespectful that he didn't come out and ask me, or he didn't show any consideration or pay any homage to the fact that he actually took my name," Freeway added. So here is some sound from that exchange with the boxer and the YouTuber who's asking Freeway Ricky Ross about the name and then the rapper.
I'm a pro boxer, bro.
Oh yeah?
So
That's all right. I'm gonna tune in with you.
Boxer.
That's all right.
You know Freeway Ricky Ross?
My
The real Rick Ross?
Yeah, Rick Ross?
Yeah, that's my manager. The real Rick Ross. You know the real Rick
You
Ross?
talking about the gangster?
Yeah, that's my manager.
For real?
Yeah, he right there. The real Rick Ross. You see him?
Let's go to Rick Ross. How you feeling?
I'm good. I'm good.
You the real
Yeah.
Ricky Rose?
Real Ross. Yeah.
Yeah?
Rose sound gay.
Rose sound gay?
To me,
You talking about the rapper?
Rose, baby.
Oh, you ain't messing with that.
That sound gay.
You don't own no wing stops, right? This the real Rick Ross right here, y'all. My man ready for it.
Nah, I ain't fat.
Oh, yeah, that's
What's
all
up?
right.
Y'all screaming right now?
Who you got tonight? Yeah, we on there.
Oh, y'all screaming?
You want to take that? Okay.
Tank is on the mission.
Yeah.
I don't think nobody in the 135 can get him.
Yeah. Damn. You don't think it's going to be like a close one?
All right, so they just went on to go talk about the fight, and then here is Rick Ross's response here. The gangster informant still lurks at Freeway Ricky. Go put on a suit, peon. That was the rapper Rick Ross's
Interesting.
subliminal response to Freeway Ricky Ross's comments. So what is your take on this, man? This
So
exchange between the two Rosses.
I mean, honestly, bro, like, and I guess that's why, the rapper, goes by Rose or whatever, trying to deviate, I guess, a little bit off of it. But to name yourself after somebody and then turn beefing with that guy and still be called that guy, it's just a little weird. If you don't mess with that guy because he's a informant, why'd you name yourself that guy? He was an informant before you named yourself that guy. It's a little bizarre. Hey, listen, man, Ricky Rose, Mr. Carroll City, and that's where I'm from, you guys. I'm from the crib. And so he's where the people are from. He's where my people is from. And you know what I'm saying? Him and Gunplay, they they're in the headlines for the wrong reasons at times. But still, nevertheless, man, I think that the federal informant Ricky Ross, the guy that literally was working hand in hand with the feds in order to disseminate that much cocaine into the community. I think that both of these guys historically are clowns. I think the old Rick Ross, the real Rick Ross, I think that he has done enough or has been doing enough to try to reform himself. He'll still try to talk the gangster stuff every once in a while, but for the most part, he's not running around here trying to live like that again, like Meech was. So it is what it is with that. But as far as like Rick Ross, the rapper, this guy is he's like an NPC, man. Not very much thought that goes on with this man. He is literally a rapper. Like last week when we were talking about with the doll girls, and they just do stuff because they think they're a rapper as a person. Rick Ross really believes he's Rick Ross. He really believes he's this character. Whenever he's on doing interviews and stuff like that, he uses the same type of things. The way he talks, the way he carries himself, he really acts as though he's that persona 24/7. It's amazing. So, not surprised that he would slander the man he named himself after. I don't expect nothing less from a rapper. And as far as the real Rick Ross, yeah, man, I would always have a beef with this man. I would think that that's weird. That somebody would name themselves after me and not big me up or just do anything, just shout me out. I think that's weird. Like LeBron said, I think that's weird energy. But what are your thoughts, man, on the real Rick Ross calling out the rapper Rick Ross? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, the older Rick Ross, Freeway Ricky Ross, he should have patented his name. So,
yeah, I mean, who would have thought, though?
Right? Yeah, but that goes to show you, man. Name, image, and likeness. Better protect all your assets.
That's right.
Don't want anybody selling your name. Patent it so that you copyright it. Whatever you got to do so that people can't do it without it being an infringement. And then there's obviously a financial penalty for doing so. Also funny, humorous to me that Rick Ross, the rapper, who was a correctional officer for 2 years,
exactly
from 1995 to 1997, is essentially subliminally bad mouthing this guy for being a government informant. But of course, he can just kind of skirt that by saying that while he was doing that, he was still rich off cocaine, which he has said that. That is an actual quote from Rick Ross, the rapper, that, it doesn't matter, or he was a correctional officer, but so what, because he's still rich off cocaine.
Yeah, he was linking up. He was linking up with the guys and helping them.
Right? Yeah. That's a quote. That's a quote. So it is what it is, man. Rick Ross certainly does walk around, I believe, 24/7. Behaving in the same way that he raps.
Yeah,
I definitely believe that. But most of these people, especially when you are that level of indoctrinated, that's not independent to him. A lot of these other rappers are doing the same thing. It obviously just becomes a bit more tricky when they feel as though their indoctrination, well, not feel as though, but it becomes a bit more tricky when their indoctrination reaches such heightened levels that they allow it to spill over into real life because they think they're so big to fail that they can't get caught or in trouble or indicted and put away. Or they think that they can just say whatever they want, and where there's smoke, there's fire, and the law figures out what's going on, and they use your words against you. You can say, "Oh, those are raps. That's music. That's art. You can't use that as evidence." Fat Joe, I lied in 95% of my rhymes. So yeah, I mean, it's not gonna be too much longer that these guys can get away with this stuff. They're already trying to crack down on these individuals taking such gross liberties with their music when they're doing suspect things in real life. And you're not going to continue to just be able to get away with it into perpetuity because you can hide behind the excuse that music is art, not to be interpreted as real life, especially when you walk around being your rapper persona in your actual life. And every time I see Rick, not every time, because I don't really follow these individuals, but anytime I happen across a Rick Ross video, he might as well be rapping over a Justice League beat because he talks the same way he raps.
Exactly.
So it is what it is, man. Eventually this stuff is going to come to a head, and I hope that these guys are lawyered up as much as possible because they're not going to continue to be able to get away with this weirdo stuff.
Hey man, I agree. And last thing I'll say is, as far as the older Rick Ross calling out the rapper, about his sexual propensities. okay. We all know that Ross went to those parties. All right. When he collaborated with the Diddler on that mixtape. Hey man, that mixtape was tough at the time though, man. that 9-piece, that 8-ball. Man, I used to play that all the time, man. But that's when he embodied. That's when Diddy or the Diddler gave him the go ahead to do the in the sense of making his Biggie impersonation. He really dove in at that time, and you could tell that tape is real intimate. So those two, they were in studio together making that. So yeah, man. So we all know that he went to those parties. He attended those parties. He did his thing. He had the baby oil experience. So hey, man, to each their own out here in this world. But I think the Freeway Rick Ross, he's got a legitimate claim there. Hey, but I think I also heard this. I don't know. I got to look into this. But is Freeway also named after Rick Ross?
I don't think so, but I don't know. Let me not say that because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know why. Because when I first heard the name Freeway, I was like, why would you name yourself a Freeway?
See, I think Freeway, the Philly State Property Freeway. Mm-hmm. I think that comes from the Philadelphia Freeway because I think he named his first album is called Philadelphia Freeway, but I also think that that's where he got the name from. It has something to do with something in Philly with a freeway, I believe. But
I like naming myself I-95. Like, why would I do that? Hey, it's Turnpike right here, y'all. You know what I'm saying? The 595. Hey, get out of here, man.
I think that's where it comes from, but yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. Freeway, he was another one who I listened to in high school. He was tough. I like Freeway.
Yeah, man. Those were the good old days, man. You know what I'm saying? Early 2000s.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. It is. Yeah, he did. The rapper Freeway got his stage name from the notorious drug trafficker Freeway Rick Ross.
Okay.
Freeway, whose real name is Leslie Pridgeon. I did know that. Adopted the name because he didn't think anyone would want to listen to a rapper named Leslie.
Why would they put? Is that a wiki or something, man?
That's Gemini, Google AI. That's Google AI,
damn, bro. Yeah. All right, Leslie. So, what's Ross?
Hey, look, man. Yeah,
what's Ross' real name? Bertha. What's his name?
William Roberts.
Oh, okay, that's not that bad.
Yeah, William. William Roberts, the second or the third, something like that.
Hysterical. Hey, man, but hey, more power to these guys, man. Whatever's going on, man. More internet weirdness happening out here, man.
Yeah, definitely more internet weirdness. More rappers doing rapper stuff.
Unbelievable.
And last but not least, we are going to get into speaking of dysfunctional relationships from a couple videos ago, some relationship dysfunction involving the king of rapper relationship dysfunctionality, Future. Future to me is one of the king dingling court jesters in a rap game. as far as I'm concerned, the guy, you talk about walking NPC, Future is a literal walking clown show.
I agree.
As far as I'm concerned. But this individual that you see there on the overlay, this woman, you can't make this stuff up. This woman is alleging a 5-year relationship with Future that Future is trying to deny. And this woman is claiming she has receipts on this, and she's threatening to come for Future in his pockets, in his catalog even. She even went that far. This woman, whose name is Gorgeous Doll. I don't know what's with this doll stuff. But this Chiquita is claiming that she has been in a 5-year situationship with Future, and Future is denying it, and she's saying, well, she's issuing threats saying, well, if you keep playing with me, I can hit you where it hurts. So this says Future denies dating IG model Gorgeous Doll in furious talk over her claims of a 5-year relationship. Future lashes out at trending socialite Gorgeous Doll after she allegedly exposed information suggesting the two are in a long-term relationship. A clip of Gorgeous talking to a furious Future surfaced on social media over the weekend before she shares a hostile phone conversation with Future denying their relationship. She warns the rap star not to provoke her. The clip begins with the model revealing that Future sent over a gag order and ready to take the issue to court. She also revealed that she has never signed an NDA while dating the rap star. In the 5 years that I've dealt with you, never once have I signed an NDA. So you're going to lose. You may win in a couple fights, but I will win the war. Think I won't go after you for me being an influence for the songs you made over the past few years? You think I won't come for that catalog? She proceeds to share the clip of Future talking to her. But don't worry, says the rap star in the 1-minute clip. I don't know you, bruh. I don't even know you. Future has not commented on the viral clips yet. Gorgeous Doll is a model, recording artist, exotic dancer, and social media influencer. Before a viral spat with Future, she accused Lotto of having her attacked over comments made about 21 Savage. The model claimed the attack caused her to have a miscarriage. Their feud escalated when Lotto left a cryptic comment under a social media post, prompting Gorgeous Doll to respond on TikTok. She shared a screenshot of the remark, calling it a confession and accusing Lotto of indirectly admitting to the assault. In a video, she addressed the rapper directly, stating, "You just admitted to having me jumped when you knew I was pregnant, causing a miscarriage." According to Gorgeous Doll, she never publicly discussed her miscarriage, but felt Lotto was taking subliminal shots at her pain. She opened up about the emotional toll of losing her baby and how much the pregnancy meant to her. She also revealed that while promoting a brand, she underwent a skin care procedure shortly after she discovered she was pregnant, which she claims complicated her situation. So here is the clip that went viral of this ridiculousness.
Now he's threatening to have my page deleted. So if you know, go follow my other page. But it's like, at the end of the day, babe, I will take this off TikTok and we will go to Instagram with it. Okay. I will go to Twitter with it. I will go to ever social. Listen, babe, who are you playing with?
Bro, don't worry.
Don't text my phone. Don't text. Excuse me? Stop fucking playing. Listen, at the end of the day, I promise you on my life, on my fucking life, on everything in my life. All you have to do is shut the fuck up. All you have to do, you keep on fucking playing with me over and over and over and over and over and over again. You're gonna fucking learn. I promise you. Because I'm gonna fucking teach you. I promise I'm going to teach you, bitch.
Man.
Oh my God. I need to take a shower after watching that.
Oh, bro.
Yeah. So you know, Clown Future. I think that's what I'm going to call him from now on. Clown Future is, of course, trying to disavow all involvement with this woman, and she's threatening to come after his catalog, and threatening what can happen to him if he continues to provoke her. What is your 2 cents on that?
I mean, first of all, I don't even know what she's talking about in the sense of come after his catalog for what? Being his muse for his music? You can't sue for that. Inspiring him to write lyrics, you don't own any claim to that. So for her to say, her coming after his catalog or something, literally speaks to this woman's insanity. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just take a look at this face of hers. This is the face of insanity. All right. no surprise here. You know, when she turns around, you're going to see a BBL. I saw clips of her doing her skin bleaching routine. That's what she was doing. So she does that. This young lady is out of her mind. That was a crazy conversation that she was trying to have with Future. I don't know what she's trying to get from this, but if she had a case legally, she probably ruined some of that with her you don't think I'm gonna come after you stuff. You know, I don't know what she's getting at with this thing, but when you're dealing with you know, the codeine connoisseur, you know what I'm saying, the toxicity tycoon, you know, this guy here champions being the anti-Omarion. He's here to lie to you. He's here to deceive you. He's not trying to build or anything. He's here trying to crush you. And so if you got into a situation with Future, it could have been for 10 years, woman. You got played. And I saw, you know, conversations over the internet about this. And many of the people were echoing the same sentiment. So this to me, outside of it being as ridiculous as it is, this speaks to a larger conversation. Now, if this woman wasn't BBL'd up and out of her mind, you know, this would be a situation of, even though, because I can see why she made this decision, but there are well-to-do women, quote unquote, that still would go for a toxicity tycoon like somebody like Future.
Absolutely.
And so, and then they'll be hollering foul just like her.
Yeah.
Yelling at the top of her lungs, knowing damn well she was raised better than that. So so this spans beyond this BBL model, in the situation of you get what you ask for when you ask for somebody who literally runs around calling himself a demon. Even though that's kind of his name. He still was, outside of that, say he's on demon time. So yeah, for Percocet poppers or anything else in between, of course you don't trust Future. So nobody's going to feel sorry for this woman. If anything, people are going to mock her. So what are your thoughts on Future out here allegedly being called out for absolutely nothing, it sounds like? But what are your thoughts, bro?
I mean, I think they deserve one another.
Yeah,
I think this is two insane, out of their mind people who are cut from the same cloth. These are two peas in the same pod.
Mhm.
You know, he deserves all the headache that she causes him. He deserves it for being a clown, and all of the whatever she thinks she deserves that she inevitably won't get through dealing with him. She deserves that too. She deserves the lack of consideration, the being ignored or being disrespected. However she feels he's behaving towards her, she deserves that as well. Because insane people deserve to be treated in an insane manner, especially when they're dealing with other insane people.
Agreed.
But you know, the bigger takeaway, of course, is like the referendum on modern relationship dynamics, because I concur with you 100%. The issue isn't necessarily her or him in a vacuum, but it's the fact that she represents the archetype of a woman that I would say most modern men today view as desirable.
Agreed.
And he represents the archetype of a man that I would say a lot of modern women today view as desirable.
Agreed.
Like when a lot of these people are imagining the ideal person that they're with, not all, but a decent portion of women are imagining being with Future or a guy like that. And I think when a lot of guys are thinking through, like, you know, if I was with a woman or if I had a girl, what would she look like? What would she be like? I think a lot of us are so twisted in the head psychologically, so brainwashed, that a lot of men today are picturing a chick who looks like that because she represents the blueprint. She represents the blueprint. The hair, the skin complexion, the body type, the stuff that she likes to wear. She is literally a Build-A-Bear. And all you have to do is take her face off and put on the face of another chick just like this. And it's the same blueprint of a woman that I would say a lot of guys today covet more than anything. So it's just, it speaks to the anarchy of like physical preferences and relationship preferences, I would say. And people are just out of, like most people nowadays are just out of their minds, I would say. You know, you could not tell either one of them that they weren't winning when they got with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like you couldn't tell her nothing. She was smashing Future. And of course, he's a clown, so you can't tell him nothing because he's literally on this earth to serve one purpose, which is to spread seed with women. I don't know what else he does. As you intimated, he self-identifies as a toxic individual.
Agreed. Yeah.
And people, women included, view that as redeemable. You can't. There aren't enough women in the world who like and listen to Future's music, who can hear all of that and still would not pass up the opportunity to date this guy.
Yep.
And I don't know what in your mind convinces you that you are going to be any different than the dozens, if not hundreds, of chicks who came before you, but they'll still take their chances anyway.
They want to see how it feels to get done wrong.
I guess.
Apparently.
That is the insanity. Yeah, man, our preferences are just completely out of whack. Yeah, the BBL stuff, the synthetic hair, the artificially enhanced, if you want to use that word, enhanced facial features. I don't even know what part of her is real. I mean, her eye pupils aren't even real. Those look like contact lenses. So, you know, and then, you know, the out of their mindness with these women, not all, but some who really do covet guys like Future, these rapper guys who don't even know who they are. They don't even know the kind of man they want to be. They're just living tunnel vision rapper superstar lifestyle. And you actually get pregnant by these individuals and try to co-parent and raise kids with them. No wonder why the relationship dynamic and the family dynamic is completely out of whack. There's no mystery. But, you know, it is what it is. That's the greater conversation to be had with this. But, you know, within a vacuum, these two individuals are completely insane. They don't know who they are. They don't know who they want to be. They don't know the kind of human that they are. And they're just empty vessels living in the world looking to consume and be consumed.
Hey, I agree, man. And last thing I'll say is just like how the article pointed out, she's a recording artist. Haven't heard any of her songs.
Yeah.
She's a model. Haven't seen her model anything. Influencer. She's every failure thing that there is to do right now. And she's failed so miserably at all of these things that now she has to chase clout. So, yeah, man, clout's a hell of a drug. And her only thing that she can actually hang on to is to say that she was having premaritals with Future. That's the only thing that could actually get her on the blogs. And that's sad.
Bro, in her circle because I'm pretty sure birds of a feather flock together. So I'm pretty sure she has a social circle of other out of their mind humans. And I'm pretty sure the women in her circle were probably envious of her because she was, you know, given the opportunity, privilege to fornicate with clown Future.
Yeah, man, this is crazy stuff, man. So just another case of when chasing clout goes wrong. Nobody's buying this gorgeous woman and or this gorgeous doll lady because her attitude was far from gorgeous. That's actually the 180 of that. Yeah, keep it up, Miss Doll Lady. You're just more internet fodder. But nobody's buying it and nobody's feeling sorry for you. At least not over here.
That needs to be a segment somewhere.
What's that?
When clout chasing goes wrong.
No, seriously, it really does. We need to have a segment on here, man.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great idea. We need to explore that. Yeah, well, we're gonna explore that concept. Whatever, bro. Just don't emulate this. That's all I gotta say. But
man.
What can you do? But with that out of the way, we are gonna go ahead and close things out. Another conscious approach video in the books on YouTube. I am Dogon SS. I am JV Wins. That is Dogon SS.
Right.
Major shouts out to everybody who checked us out on stream tonight. And if you are watching this as a video upload on the YouTube channel, we certainly appreciate it. If you have not already done so, this is the kind of content and commentary we like to kick each and every week. So do us a big old solid and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Let us know where you think we went wrong. Let us know where you think we went right. Let us know where you think we are totally off our rockers and are just crazy, insane, and wild in the membrane. So long as it is constructive, we will take it as it comes. Check us out on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts, on those platforms where you can get your audio fix of the platform. But yeah, man, major shouts out to all of our subscribers. We really appreciate you hitting that button as we continue to rise the ranks and grow the community out. Keep that logical content. Thank you so much. Check us out on Instagram as well at Conapproach, CONAPPROACH. And as I always like to end every pod with, man, don't be a group thinker. Think for yourself. Have a mind of your own. And until next time, we hope everyone has a great day, has a great week, and we'll catch you later.
Yeah. And the name is Dogon SS. And you can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS. On YouTube, DraftKings, MySpace, Facebook, Meta, any damn thing. If it's on social media, Dogon_SS gonna be out there. Make sure you guys like, follow, subscribe, or anything like that. Now, as I say on every pod, guys, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, everybody, we greatly appreciate you guys for liking and subscribing, leaving conscious comments and all that good jazz. More rings than Robert Ory. And we'll catch y'all on the next episode. Yeah.
That's right, man. Thanks to everybody out there for joining along with us, hitting that subscribe button, leaving them comments, hitting that like button. Thank you. And we will see you, Nate. We will see you later. Peace.
Peace. Go Kings. Yeah. For life.